It'll catch up here in a second on the stream, but a lot of people in here already. Who is Seraphin, Jeff, and Leslie. Caesar's in here. David Stewart and Matthew Card is in here. I can't see anybody else. Got to wait for the ad to play, I guess, for everybody. I forget about that. All right. But anyway, we are here. All right. I like the lighting here, Joe.
I'm trying. I got to use my wife's computer because she's got a camera.
No, I like that. It's pretty cool, man.
I just got a LED lamp right here on me.
There you go.
I'm trying not to show all her stuff in the back, though.
Previous.
She puts me in a storeroom.
Yeah, there you go. Gustavo just joined us as well. So we got a few people in here already. A lot to talk about tonight. I'm sure from you guys, not much on my end, but I know there's a big controversy going about the Z8 and all the talk about Z8, and it doesn't exist. It might exist, and a whole lot of other stuff. And
I'm tired of hearing it.
And before I get going, let's see.
Joe's got the Blair Witch Project lighting going on.
There you go. And I want to say thank you very much, Long Rider, for the super chat. I appreciate that. It goes a long way and helped me to try to gather enough money to pay for my streaming bill at the end of the year. So I appreciate that. I really do. And of course, you guys don't have to do that, but appreciate it. Wayne, you have a invite if you'd like to join. That's entirely up to you. Mike Farwell, how you doing? All right. So anyway, what I thought I would do, wow, there's the model herself, Amanda Pashuko, my lovely stepdaughter, Blair Witch Project lighting. We got a couple of those, didn't we, Amanda? Where strobes didn't fire like they were supposed to. Philly Boy says we keep getting punked in regards to the Z8. Yep. Who is Seraphin says if a Z8 is covered, is in a covered box, is it actually a Z8? Manila Martin in here. Yeah, we had a couple of those shots. I even put one in to show tonight. All right, so everybody that's in here right now, you can pass it on to those that come in later. Hello, Chris. Wayne's in a hotel with not the greatest Wi-Fi. I understand that. What was I going to say? Doggone it. Oh, Amanda can. Amanda's in here, so she wants to see what I'm actually going to show. And Amanda, I haven't edited anything for this because everybody's going to want to see what this lens does straight out of camera. So just understand that they're not pretty and polished. It's just some of the photos I thought I'd bring in here to kind of demonstrate a couple of the things. And I'm, you're welcome to ask any questions about settings or anything else. I'll provide all that information, even distances to the models and to the background if you want to know. So with that said, I thought I'd let a few more people get in here before I got started with the photos, though.
Hey, Chuck, you know what I want you to do next time you have Amanda over there for shots?
What's that?
Is I want you to let her take a picture of you.
Okay.
With the camera and pose you, because you've been posing her so much. I'm sure she's picked up on a lot of stuff. It's time that she posed you and we get to see pictures of you taken by her.
Absolutely. I will do that. No doubt about it. I'm sure Amanda's up for it as well. So this time I didn't pose them so much. After all the posing that we've been doing as far as practice goes, I told them, I let them run the show on what they wanted to do. And you'll see what we came up with, which I'm very happy with because that's my style. I don't want the bright, perfect portrait. There's no fun in that. I'm sorry. Daryl, you have an invite as well if you would like to join. Just throwing it out there to some of you folks. So anyway, my style is dark and moody, and you'll figure that out here real quick is when I get into, especially when we get into the studio photos. But I'm going to start out with the outdoor photos, even though that was the last thing we shot. And while I think I had plenty of time. I didn't want to keep. Here we go. We got Mr. Wayne Maddox in here. I didn't want to keep them too long because they had to travel
Can you
about
guys
an
hear me?
hour back home. Yep, hear you, Wayne.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, the stream is kind of acting weird here, so I have to cut the video and see if I can get it to not drop.
All right.
You just look like a circle with your initials, though.
Even the pros have trouble.
Yeah, there's no video right now. I switched to my phone to see if that'll work, and if it does, then I'll turn the video on and see if we can test it from there. Well, not test, but join in.
All right. So I know we got a big conversation coming up here. And just so everybody knows, I didn't start it. I'm not starting it. For all those that want to send me hate mail about, I'm tired of talking about blank, but I know that it's stirring and I know there's a lot to talk about. I just wanted to go through these photos real quick. For those that want to see them, hang on. We'll do that first. And again, if you have any questions, I'll give you all the settings, everything in the camera. These are straight out of camera. I did shoot both RAW and JPEG because I knew somebody was going to want to see the RAW files. And also, you'll see some of the misfires, and I have them in there intentionally because I want to show you the dynamic range that I was absolutely stunned over for some of the photos when the flash didn't fire. So I had a problem with my Godox or Flashpoint strobes. The controller just wasn't, I don't know if it was that or what it was, but I put new batteries in it and it helped. Just so you know, I'm experiencing problems with it too on the Z9. All right, let me grab this real quick. I'm going to throw this up here, just block all of us out. And I'm in ACR, so you can see. All right, everybody can see this photo, I'm sure. Let me.
Looks too bright.
It is. It's too bright, no doubt about that. But that's what happens when you walk outside with a 1.2 lens. And you have to figure out, okay, 132 thousandths of a second is probably way too much, believe it or not. So I'll give you the settings here. I did a real quick exposure compensation, and next thing you know, we got at least workable photos. But what I want to show you is this is them walking after we had taken some photos, and they're walking across the yard back over to where I'm at. And I thought, let's just take the lens and let's take a few shots just to see if it can capture them in focus. This is an 85, of course. And anyway, let me zoom in here. And you can see it's spot on, perfect. No problems whatsoever. So I continued to shoot. I'm not going to pull all those up, but I continued to shoot and it didn't miss a lick. And I was really, of course, the camera has something to do with that, but just the speed of this lens focusing impressed me considerably after the 85 1.4G, which I never did like. I have fallen in love with this lens, just so you guys know if you haven't figured it out already. But I mean, yeah, for those that are complaining that it's too bright, I mean, again, I didn't have a lot of time. I'm better prepared for the next go around with this lens. But I mean, we can drop the highlights and everything. Oh, one other thing I want you to see is when you zoom into this lens, look at the background. So I learned something shooting this lens. It's spot on the subject, whatever it may be, a model or whatever. And the bokeh in the background obviously doesn't look as pleasing at this distance. So if you really want to work the bokeh in this lens, you just got to shoot wide and then crop, unless you have the subjects a mile away from the background. Same thing on any lens, and the 200's even more so. And you're definitely going to have to crop unless you're doing a close-up headshot or half-body shot with the 200 f2. And you still have to have, of course, the background at a particular distance. So let me get out of this.
My parents used to have those same bushes, yellow bushes in their yard when I was a kid.
Oh, by the way, that was at ISO 64, obviously 85 millimeter. Where am I at? 1/250th of a second, believe it or not. And of course, wide open at 1.2. The only thing I shot at is 1.2, and I did shoot at 3.2. Don't ask me why 3.2. I used the ring on the lens to dial up the aperture. When I had both ladies in the when I had both ladies in the all right. So now who's going to comment on this one? Underexposed, right? I'm just going to pull it up. But again, background doesn't go away until you crop. And then obviously the difference between the subjects and the background is tremendous. And just depending on how far they are away from the background. So I'm not preaching. I am preaching to the choir. I know a lot of you understand this, but there are so many people out there that don't understand depth of field on a lens. They assume that it's paper thin, no matter how far the subject is from the lens. And that's not the case. Depth of field deepens, if you will, the further you get the subject away from the lens. It's still shallow, obvious, but it's not paper thin. And you can shoot this lens inside the studio. Again, these are straight out of camera. And this is the two of them standing in the shade. They were about, I'd say about 15 feet, maybe 12 feet from all the vegetation you see behind them. So you can see Connecticut hasn't greened up completely yet. And I was probably equidistant, 15 feet from them at this point. Might have been 20 feet, just so you have an idea of what the depth of field is doing. Again, let me zoom in. Everything is in perfect focus. It's just fantastic. I'm extremely happy. Go to the next. Let's see. And again, you can see, it's a bit underexposed. I got that. But again, I want you to see straight out of camera rather than just some corrections and everybody talking about, well, we can't tell what the lens did because you've edited the photos. And they are beautiful models and they did a fantastic job. I did edit a few, not that I'm showing here tonight, but and they came out just absolutely spectacular. Now, the leaves that you see on the side here to their right and left, those are just a couple of feet behind them. Everything else that's directly behind them is probably 25, 30 feet away. So you can see the difference in the depth of field and how it renders. I really don't want to, I'd rather not go in that close. I wish I could do a 25% or 50% so that you could at least see more of them when I zoom. But just a fantastic job. And again, let me see. This, I think, is at let me go to essentials here. And this is shot at 1.2, f1.2. ISO 64, 1/2500th of a second. Now, who says you can't shoot these photos or portraits? That's both of them. Their eyes are in perfect focus, no issues at all, and that's at 1.2. So again, I'm hoping that some of these people out here will quit whining about why do you want a 1.2 lens when you can't even shoot it wide open, take portraits? You can.
Yeah, well, they're all thinking like they're shooting it from like 10 feet away, and even then, you'd probably still have the eyes in focus.
Yeah. Let's see. Let me look over here at some of the comments. You guys can keep track of the comments if you would too. If anybody asks for any specific information, just let me know. Let's see. So what would you do to correct that? Just adjust the exposure compensation. Yeah. As far as that goes, Jason, there are several things that you can do. I'll grab one of them here in a minute and and doctor it real quick in ACR. Obviously, Photoshop is a lot more precise in what I want to do with the photos, but you can reach a happy medium real quick just in ACR. Models are popping out. It looks like kind of cool, though what's going on. Everybody's going to ask, what's the expression? What's the theme? There was no theme. They were just doing what they've been doing as far as practicing their modeling. And it's more fashion modeling than anything, even though we may not have been in a true fashion shoot. Matthew wants me to open it in Photoshop. No, I'm not going to go that route because it's going to kill the computer. The computer's spinning right now with everything I've got open on it. Yeah, I know I could zoom in at any level then.
Now, were you shooting it? Were you shooting in manual mode?
Manual mode.
Your ISO manually as well, or were you doing auto ISO and doing everything else manual?
Everything manual. ISO manual. Yeah, all settings in the camera. The camera was in manual mode. So, and that's typically the way I'm shooting anyway.
Yep.
I do like the little ring on the lens. I found out that's something I can live with and actually like, and set to, especially when you're shooting this 85 and it's set to aperture, because it's really nice to be able to change the aperture on the fly. And that's something I learned while I was using it while we were shooting as well. Yeah, I know, Mac Studio it is, Wayne. I got my priorities. I got to figure out what I want more. But another photo, and you can see the background is just, I mean, it's the isolation of the subject is just fantastic. Maybe you guys don't see that. Maybe I'm seeing something that doesn't exist, but I like it. I like the fact that I just think it's fantastic. I love the black and whites. I got some work to do in the black and whites, but I kind of like the way these came out straight out of camera. But I'll show you these. I love this. I like it the way it is, believe it or not. And most people may not, but
looks almost infrared.
yeah.
I would dodge a little bit on them, and I'd leave it alone.
Yep. And this is just shooting them a little closer. And then again, I just kept moving closer to them, and you can see the background just disintegrates the closer you get to the subject. Yet this is at 1.2, mind you. Eyes are perfect. This is raw, Matthew. These are all raw. I did that for a purpose because I knew if I didn't, somebody was going to say, well, let's see the raw photos. And the JPEG,
I wouldn't do that to you, Chuck. I wouldn't do that to you.
the JPEGs came out well also. Z Wade says, I've missed very few eyes with this lens and Z9. Even those were due to movement in the single AF instead of continuous. In continuous, it's fast enough that the shallow depth of field doesn't even matter. It doesn't. That's something that I learned again yesterday. So anyway, and this is the one I did. This is edited. It's just cropped so that, I mean, the background just goes to nothing. That's a yard and a hedgerow that's blooming in yellow buds right now behind them. It's just, it just blew me away yesterday as I was shooting it. I had a ball shooting it. All right. Any questions you guys got, drop them in the chat and I'll be happy to answer them. Let me jump over here.
It's nice to have that color that you got in your yard there. You know, that makes a nice difference.
Yeah, we were very fortunate. This is just the backdrop, just so you can see the backdrop. This is what I purchased.
That's kind of like the one I got, Chuck.
And it looks phenomenal in black and white. I mean, you can light it. You can actually add color. I tried that before we started shooting. I didn't do it during our shoot, but I just, different, different exposure levels change the whole look of this backdrop. It goes from a deep orange brown into a very light, almost yellow brown, depending on how you expose it. So just wanted everybody to see it. So here's the background and shooting Mia at 1.2. And just so everybody knows, me and we talked about this yesterday as we were shooting. While this is a fashion thing, the makeup, as you see it right here in the corners of her eyes, that is not something the camera or lens is doing. That is purely makeup. And we took a few shots and all right, Wayne's going to have to drop.
I thought that was specular highlights, Chuck.
And it would be, again, fashion shooting. That's what it's all about, right?
Yeah.
So
Mike Farwell makes a point. Yeah, at 15 feet, you got depth of field basically 4 inches on either side of the point of focus.
So she is about 5 feet from the backdrop, and I'm standing probably 12 feet in front of her, just so everybody understands the distances and what's going on with the. Now, I have some F8 photos that I tried just to. Hang on, I got to clean my screen up here. All right. Man, I keep. You guys in the private chat, it keeps popping up over everything. All right. Now, and I don't know, I think this was at 1.2 as well. I'm sure it is. Yeah, f1.2. This is at 1/60th of a second. And ISO was at 160. This was the opening round of us getting ready to go and just playing around. We just messed around with this a little bit and then back to shooting. So let's go through a couple of these photos here you can look at. And I think this is, yeah. So this is at 1.2. Now you can see the difference between their eyes. If they're not on the same plane, you're not going to catch both sets of eyes. For both people. So this is where I went to f3.2 and 3.2 only because I just used the ring on the lens to change the aperture, and 3.2 was just fine for the distance that I was shooting them. All right. But if you're not zoomed in, it's still a lovely photo no matter what. So happy about that. This is now back to, so we're at 1.2 with just Mia. And I wanted to show you, you can see it's just starting to fall off in her hair, the focus.
Yeah.
But here you go. Her necklace is out of focus. It's just maybe an inch and a half behind her eyes. So it's really interesting to look at everything that is in focus and isn't at f1.2. But fantastic lens for the studio, I'll tell you right now, especially for those that don't want to have to crank lights up to the max power. You could shoot this lens at 1.2 in the studio with LED light. Something you can't do at f8, obviously. Let's see. Any other comments over here? I don't want to go too quick. I want to get through this just so everybody can see this lens. I want to answer any questions that you have.
Well, they're just curious do you set up your, you have custom, did you do any custom settings for your JPEG files?
Yeah. Here I was shooting in portrait mode, and I adjusted that a little bit in camera.
But I mean, were you shooting it like where it was flat or vivid, or how did you
Portrait.
just portrait?
The portrait setting in the camera.
Okay.
that I've adjusted a little bit, taken some of the sharpness out, as a matter of fact, because I don't like portraits that are just, cutting edge, knife edge sharpness in a portrait, except for the eyes, of course. Then again, I am a weirdo, right? So here you go in black and white. I love this. I don't even want to change the exposure. Again, I'm a weirdo. How about you, Joe?
Oh, I dig it. I love the light. I like that low light and black's going dark.
Yep.
That's what black is. It's dark.
Yep.
I don't have to see everything in it.
Yep. And this is at 1.2, as you can tell, because Amanda's out of focus here, and the focus was on Mia. So let's keep going. I love this. Oh, yeah. I think this is fantastic. They did a great job considering what we were doing, playing around.
I would put that in a square crop, man. That'd be perfect.
Yep. No, this isn't at 3.2. This is at 1.2. But still, if you're not zoomed in, you're not going to see that much difference.
I like that one too.
I think they just rocked it. I mean, we've got 400 or 500 photos. Some are when they're laughing and cutting up and having a good time. Again, unedited, right out of camera.
Might do a little bit of dodging on the face on that one in the highs.
Yep.
That'd be nice.
Well, Jason Michael's saying if you're shooting JPEG fine and raw, let's say you mess up on the picture on the JPEG, so you could correct everything because you have raw files. Well, you have a certain amount of correction you could do to a JPEG file too.
You do.
I mean, it's not like the only limitation or the main limitation with JPEG files is you don't have the same range when you're doing your white balance, but for most everything else, you're not going to have too much of a problem. So,
and of course, with the raw, I can go back to color, and I like this blase brownish, or I don't even know what you'd call it. Now, you notice we're a little dark here at the bottom. I couldn't get a bounce card to bounce enough light up, especially because I was shooting the lights at, I think, the light on the backdrop was at about 1/32 power, and the key light was at I think I started at 256th power because I wanted to shoot at ISO 64 and shoot it at about 120 or 1/25th of a second, on the camera. So it was really interesting. Just so you guys know, we can always, here's the quick fix. It's not the right fix, but here's the quick fix.
well, Craig, with the comment, JPEGs are baked. Well, they're when you say baked, I guess you got to be careful when you say baked. The JPEGs are reflective of what settings you have in your picture control settings.
That is correct.
And that's what's going to come over. It doesn't mean you can't adjust them in Lightroom or ACR. You could still make adjustments to those to that after the fact. The thing is, when you shoot raw, if you don't have a preset set up in your to apply it to the image when you suck it in, you may have a heart attack the first time you shoot raw because you'll think it's the worst picture you ever took. But you have to define a preset and get something set up, where how much saturation you want to typically have on a picture and where you want your white and black levels to be, and you get everything so you get like 80% there, and you can apply it to everything when you import it, and then you just tweak it a little bit. So it's not as complicated as one may think.
Yeah, and again, these are straight out of camera. I did shoot monochrome, and so that's why you're seeing the raw files in monochrome. Of course, being in raw, I can always go in and drop that for color. But yeah, again, I just had a great time with this lens. I mean, here it is, and this is at 3.2, I believe. I'll check just so you guys know for sure. And now give it a chance to render. Pretty big file because it's raw. Any day now. There we go.
There you
And
go.
it's just absolutely crisp. So no problem at all. Let me check just to be sure that we are at 3.2 now. Yes, we're at 3.2, 1/100th of a second, ISO 64. And this is with the Z9. This is, I think I don't know, I don't know if these are, I didn't check the raw setting. Huh. I'll tell you right now, it's not 14-bit or 16-bit or 12-bit or whatever, because the file is only 29 megabits. So it has to be, what is it? The raw setting. Oh,
You probably have high efficiency raw.
yes. So, if this impresses you, think what you can get with just the raw photo. So I just want to go through a few more. Show the girls off because they were beautiful and they had a good time. We'll find a couple in here but you can see, and I didn't cherry pick to make sure the eyes were in focus. I just pulled photos.
Well, you did what you want to do because you have to experiment with it and see what you could get away with to get you, so if one person's head isn't perfectly in line with the other one, okay, how far back could their head go before at 1.2 where one set of eyes is blurry and the other one's sharp, and
Yep.
you get a feel for it, and you got to just kind of fool around with it and like you did and have a good time. And then you learn the lens at the same time.
And this is an interesting photo because obviously Amanda is behind. This is Mia. Let's let it render. And I can't tell you who I focused on, so we're going to find out here. All right. Come on, computer. Help me out here. There we go. So obviously Mia's eyes are in focus. The question is at 3.2, let's see where Amanda is. So 3.2 wasn't enough to compensate for the distance she was behind Mia. Just, again, I learned a lot yesterday with this lens.
Should have tried focus stacking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it's amazing, though. There you go. Now they're having fun.
You could get away with it if the people are still. You could actually do that.
Mhm.
But I thought the photos came out amazing. I really did. And everybody's going to, like I said, everybody's going to talk about, well, they're underexposed and this and that. No, they're intentionally underexposed. I will show you what happens when you go from 3.2 to 1.2 and don't change your lighting. We're going to run across that here in a minute. All right, this is where obviously the lights didn't fire. So I want to open this up in Camera Raw. Let's see how many stops off it was. And this is at 3.2, ISO 64. Oh, and only one strobe fired. I put a strip box in the floor aimed up to light the lower portion. It's extremely, the setting on it, it was at 1/256th of a second, or 1/256th, whatever the setting is on the light.
Yeah.
And, we got this up lighting, which is typically very, very unflattering. But I got to tell you, I kind of like this. So that's a misfire on the strobes. The only strobe that fired was the one on the floor.
Yeah, so you went up about 3.5 stops on that one.
Yep. So we're still at 3.2, I believe, because and here's another misfire. This is a total misfire. No strobes. I think this is about the time I changed the batteries in the controller.
But the thing is, that just shows you how much dynamic range and how much adjustability you have with the Z9 to be able to pull something up 3.5 stops and have it look good, you know?
Yep. Hang on a second. Let me go over. I want to make sure keep on top of the comments. I got all kinds of tools at my disposal, Zach. I just haven't edited any of them. I just wanted to leave them straight out of camera again because, you know, everybody wants to see what the lens does, like I was saying before. Don't show me what you can do in editing. Show me what the lens does on its own. So that's the reason I left it all like it is.
And I think you had the models just far enough away from your backdrop where you can definitely see the separation.
Yep. I think we're still at 3.2 and you can see the painted texture in the backdrop still. At 1.2, it gets a little bit smoother. And I think at this point, Mia may have moved back closer to the backdrop by a foot or so. You got to love models, but they get into the posing and everything, and I don't have a mark on the floor. So, all right. I just want to show you what happens when you don't adjust the lighting and you change the aperture from here you go. There's 3.2 to 1.2 without touching the lighting. Pretty obvious, isn't it? So you can expect to get.
You can tone that down too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, I've already played with them too, Joe. I've played with, like I said, I played with a few of them. I know what I want to do with them. But I need to do it in Photoshop. So
that Z9 amazes me what you can do, even if you expose it a little or underexpose it a lot.
Yeah, you could be literally multiple stops one way or the other, and you could get away with it.
Yeah.
Computer struggling tonight, folks, with the live stream, ACR open. Okay. I mean, this is just an ACR.
Yeah, see, that's perfect. There's nothing wrong with that.
It's all in taste, you know, as far as how you're going to actually edit. But yeah, I love it. Her skin tone matches the backdrop too. I love the blue against it, and I'd hope we would have some blue outfits, but it doesn't matter. So yeah, but again, just absolutely beautiful. Look at the eyes. They sparkle. You can see my 32-inch Octa in the catch light. And just at the bottom of her eye, you can see that strip box. It's just providing enough light down here so that it doesn't fall off in shadow too quickly. So, yeah. She was just rocking it. Now we're back. I had to adjust the lights and we're back to our settings. She's got a fan in her hand. It's a cordless fan that she's holding to blow her hair. We tried that. It worked somewhat, but it didn't really work out exactly the way we wanted it to. But we took a few photos just to play around with it.
I thought she was drawing two pistolas there for a second.
But yeah, Amanda and Mia both rocked it.
Good shot.
This is just standing against the backdrop. I tried to get my light overhead. I don't have enough room with the ceiling. I need it straight overhead. I'd like to have had a larger softbox to drop light. So this is actually it's bouncing more off of the backdrop than it is lighting her. But it's what you got. You know, you work with what you have, and that's what my studio allows. It just doesn't give me everything I want. Here you go, though. Now, can you tell I'm closer to her with this lens? I got probably more her nose than I did her eyes, but look at her eyes. I mean, here, this one looks pretty sharp. This one's dropping out of focus, but that's what happens the closer you get with this lens. It's not a close distance focusing lens, I'll tell you that. But then again, I don't care because that's not what I bought it for. So, but
Well,
we
yeah,
have,
that's just a matter of if you wanted to, you could stop it down to 5.6 if you needed to. You'd have both eyes.
oh yeah,
Easy, you know.
yep.
Well, if she was looking right at you, that would be a good shot. That would make that shot right there.
The only reason she isn't is because she's looking up towards the light. Because we tried it with her holding her head down, and of course we get terrible shadow because I'm not shooting her from the front; it's overhead.
You could do an eye replacement.
Yeah,
Here we go. AI, get out the AI tools, baby. We could start another rip roaring event about
exactly.
AI.
All right, guys. My style of photography may not be everybody's, and that wasn't the intent of showing this. It was more to show you what the I learned with this lens and what it does. And I'm willing to answer any questions or go back to any image or pull up an image or whatever. If you guys want, that's fine. Because again, my taste isn't everybody's taste. And I've said that before. I am not the greatest photographer in the world, but I enjoy doing things like this and experimenting and playing around.
That's important.
Yeah. And like I said in the thumbnail, this lens inspired me again to get back in and start playing with it and start shooting. So I'm extremely happy. Now, the one thing I did outside, that was the reason I wanted to go outside and shoot, is because Daniel Venter, the king of bokeh and outdoor shoots, obviously I didn't do all the color coordination that he does and his wife does, which puts his photos over the top. I mean, they're just spectacular. For those of you that know Daniel, I invited him in here tonight too, but I wanted to shoot outside because I want to replicate what he's doing. I have the 200 f2, but the problem with that is you have to be very careful with that lens. You have so much distance, standoff distance from your subject to get a wide angle shot, obviously with the 200 f2. And how much distance do you need to the backdrop or the background to get that background to fall out of focus? The 85 makes it much simpler, I think. And it proved to me today that with a little work and practice, I should be able to replicate those photos that he does. I'm not going to tell you that I'll be able to do them as well as he does, but at least I'll have the opportunity now with this lens. And that's why I bought it. That's why I bought a 1.2 lens. And we can all argue all day long whether it's worth it or not. It just depends on you. To me, this lens is worth every penny for me. I'm not saying it's worth every penny for anybody, but I love it. I fell in love with it yesterday, definitely. And I hope you guys got a kick out of, what we shot yesterday. Now I can go in and start editing photos for the ladies. Joe asks, let me get out of this. Sorry, guys. Let me get out of this and get us all back on here. Thank you, Craig. And again, not looking for, any praise or anything for the photos. But I hope you all appreciate the girls and, all their work and effort, and they enjoyed it. We enjoyed it. And of course they get to take some photos away from it as well. One of these days I'll get somebody that can actually put together, not a fashion shoot, but coordinate the clothing, the background and everything. I'm not going to tell anybody I'm extremely good at that because I'm not, but anyway, thank you all so much. And I hope you enjoyed at least seeing what the lens can do. And again, I'm back to, I'll answer any questions that you guys have about the lens as much as I can answer. I'm just scanning through the comments here. If you guys sitting in the panel see anything jump out that I missed,
Yeah,
I got
Yeah, I'm right there with Mike Farwell. What did he say? If you love your 1.2, that's good enough. Don't need to satisfy anyone else. That's exactly right.
yeah. Yep.
If
I shot to please people, I wouldn't please very many people. I can tell you that right now.
Well, there's
give
no
yourself
doubt.
some credit, Joe. You got great stuff. Yeah. Roy's been answering a lot of questions here on the chat. You must have the dueling computers going on here, which I don't have. So that's why you guys never see me type in a response, because I'm working on one computer. But
look, this is how illiterate I am. I don't know if I can type on this thing on the computer. So I got my phone right here that I do it on. I hadn't figured out there's nothing. I mean, this is my wife's computer, but I don't see nothing where I can click in it and type. So I just do it on my phone.
Thank you, Jeff. I don't know if Amanda's still in here, but thank you very much. And I'll pass that on.
You know, they did great. Looked like they had a lot of fun. That's all that matters.
Yep. Daryl said he liked the fan look. Yeah, we could have played with that some more. The fan just wasn't quite powerful enough. But so Matthew wants to know how much RAM I have in my computer. I think I've got 32 gig. But if you saw everything that this computer is running right now, you'd understand why that may not be enough. So I can hear the fan running. So it's running hard right now.
yeah, Roy answered a lot of questions about depth of field. Does not change on a APS-C sensor. You're just your field of view for your lenses.
And cropping, cropping isn't going to change it either. But what it does is it definitely isolates the subject enough that you get that separation. But I had a great time. Again, it was just a fantastic day shooting. I didn't have all the time in the world to do it, but the ladies gave me enough time at least to play around a little bit in the studio, go outside and take some photos. They enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. And again, I am inspired again. Now I got to start shooting again, playing around, having some fun. And here's Joe Mann's comment that I was going to answer before. How did you find this compares to the 85 1.4G F-mount lens? I don't like the 85 1.4G. I've got it. It's sitting up on the shelf right now gathering dust. I didn't like how slow it was. I don't know. The look was fine, but it wasn't anything extraordinary. And I'm not saying that this lens has a super extraordinary look, but it does have some, for my eye, again, I'm not saying for yours, but for my eye, it's got some secret sauce. Maybe it's just I'm so enamored with it that I see something that isn't even there. But it definitely is enough that it makes me want to go out and actually start shooting some stuff with it. Thank you, David.
Roy have a Nikon model to go along with all of his cameras. Unless I'm reading that wrong.
Yeah.
I asked you if you have a Model 1, the original. The original Nikon rangefinder was called the Nikon 1 after a while, but it had no number on it when it came out, if I remember correctly.
Thanks, Amanda. Thanks for coming down, and please tell me I said thank you too.
Sorry you're sick, Kevin. Kevin says he's sick. Not doing too hot, Mr. Nordstrom.
I will. I'll put a few photos together, maybe for our next photo review, and at least show a couple there or something. Thanks, Gustavo. All right.
That's the first rangefinder, Roy. The Nikon, just the Nikon. That's all it says on it, right? I don't hear you.
I don't
No.
like rangefinders. I've got Nikon Fs, a few of them. F2s, F3s, F4s, F5s,
Yeah.
a few of each. I like SLRs. I don't like rangefinders. I had a nice argument with Seth on the channel at Gray's the other day.
Oh yeah, I actually
He
love
loves
that
rangefinders.
broadcast. I mean, I plan eventually to get a Nikon SP is what I want in my collection. I want to get one for
I
my
get it
collection.
as a collectible. I don't like using them though. They're no fun to use. When the Nikon F came out, it killed all the rangefinders.
Seth's going to get the 85. He says once he sells his 51.2. You know, Seth, I jonesed for that 51.2 ever since I saw everybody, here shooting it. I thought, man, I love that. I just
I
don't
love
care.
both.
I'd love to have both, but I had to pick and choose. And I thought, no, I have the 51.8 and I don't shoot that focal length very much. So, I'm going to wait for the 85.
I'm likely to use a 51.2 just as much as the 85.1.2 for portraits.
Yeah.
It just works. It's just a different way of shooting.
Yep. Absolutely.
85 is better for headshots.
They say you change your focal length with your feet.
Yeah.
Your feet do a great job too. People tend to forget about the feet.
If you do a
you're
portrait,
right.
50, at least as good as the 85,
Mhm.
and just as useful.
There is that little bit difference in compression. That's it.
Mm.
Kevin, I'm sorry you're sick, man. I hope you start feeling better, brother.
I think he wore himself out when he did that video talking to himself and playing all those different parts. And in one of his videos that he did, I think he wore himself down, having to do jacket changes and stuff like that in between.
All right. So I made it to the bottom of the, thank you all very much for putting up with me. Thank you for letting the girls know that they were wonderful. Again, my style of shooting, I'll have fun, continue to do this kind of stuff. Portraits to me on a regular backdrop are just boring. I mean, it's really simple to just light, expose them. You expose the person right and bam, take a photo. Nice flat lighting too. But I want to play. I want to have fun. All right. So enough of that, unless you guys have any other questions about the lens. I know a lot of people were chomping at the bit in the very beginning to talk about something other than the 85 1.2. So let's turn it loose in the chat and see where it goes. And since I didn't really get a chance to welcome everybody in, of course, we all know you, Roy, Mr. Roy Bigsby, Jeffrey from Selective Imagery, and Joe Stroud Photography.
I was Verhagen had a video the other day about, he commented on the angry photographer or something. Did y'all see that one?
Yeah.
I got to thinking, a lot of what he said was pretty accurate, about professional photography and is it dead or are you making money at it?
Yeah.
I'd like to talk to Verhagen some more about that. Because
it's a small percentage and it depends on what type of photography you choose. Obviously, weddings, people want wedding photographers, so you're going to make money doing weddings. You're going to, and Roy made money doing, his commercial photography for catalogs and advertising and stuff like that. But when you start getting into the other genres, like, are you going to make a living doing sunrise pictures? Are you going to make a living doing birding or macro shots? Probably not, unless you're doing workshops and you're teaching people and you're going on trips. But if you're doing weddings or something where, or corporate shots where people want to have shots of their company, in their yearly bulletin that they put out or whatever, then so there's certain. Or
niche markets.
yeah, there's certain markets that you can hit that you can make money at, and others are a tough sell. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And John Ishii, I used the camera stand for some of the shots, but obviously outside it was all handheld. Same thing, or about half the shots in the studio were handheld because I was just moving around and the girls were moving and doing stuff like that. So, yeah, not so much on the stand today, especially at 85 millimeter. So the drunken wedding photographer, ahoy! How are you? Good to see you. Yeah, so I did see that, Joe. Talking about the angry photographer, and somebody just said that angry photographer's doing product photography now. I think it's what somebody said.
Trying.
That's where AI is going to kill that right there.
Mm.
Yeah.
That'll be easy to do in AI, and they won't have to hire nobody. Just somebody sitting in the office.
Glad I'm leaving it.
$2 an hour.
Boy, that lens is extremely sharp, man. It looks great.
Whose lens?
Yours.
Oh, that's just a 24 to 70 f4.
Looks good.
The 22.8's over there.
It looks good. Greg Wilson said Roy changed his camera angle. Yep, he did.
Changed the room. I moved to a different room. This one's got a ceiling, sort of. More room.
I wish I had that ceiling. Man, get lights up in the
Very
air.
pretty. I like a lot of room. Not as big as my old place, but I've got enough to shoot now.
Yep. All right. So, the elephant in the room is the Z8 uproar from yesterday with the Chinese post, the post from China, which I do believe is purely glasses or lenses for glasses or something like that. But anyway, man, just the outpouring of hate towards Peter over there at Nikon Rumors is unbelievable. But either way, he wins. So everybody that thinks they're really hurting him, you're not, because that's just more. It's driving more people to his website, which of course he loves, as he should, with all the advertisers and everything else. But how many people are just fed up with any talk at all about a Nikon camera, be it Z8, anything?
Yeah, I think a lot of people in the chat have already commented that they've had enough of the rumors. It's time for the real deal. Either, as they say, blank or get off the pot. Just do it. Just do it.
So I was talking to Vahagan today. I talked to him a little bit yesterday, but I was talking to him today, and I still come back to it. I blame who's to blame for all this. It's not trolls. It's not people doing videos. It's Nikon itself. Nikon's allowed this to happen, and Nikon could fix it. There is a way to fix it and quell the rumors and everything else. I mean, they gave us a development announcement for the Z9 9 months out. What is so secret about what's going on right now? Or is there nothing going on? And for those that are happy, if there's nothing and they can wait until 2025 or whatever, I applaud you. I really do. But I think this is what's hurting Nikon in the Nikon camp is now you have Nikon split down the middle. Half that don't care if Nikon ever makes another camera or if it takes, 15 more months, and half that are saying they're going to leave or they have left. So I don't know. Respond somehow.
Sith BK is asking how many of us have photo gear insurance. And I personally not making any money off of what I do. I I did price it, and I said I'm not going to justify. I can't justify the cost when I don't have income coming in. It would have been like even just a kit that I might take with me out there. It was like $1,000 a year or something crazy. I mean, I'm like, no, I'm not paying to that when I have basically negligible funds coming in. So nothing to crow about. So I'll take my chances. But if I was doing travel and workshops and making a living, then absolutely I would have the insurance. If I had income coming in, I'd pay for the insurance. But I think everybody's going to make their own decision on that.
You work into the cost of the shoot.
Right.
I just have it under my homeowners.
Well, the thing is,
if I got to fight with them when it happens, and that's when it happens. But
yeah, I mean, the homeowners.
I'm like you, Jeffrey. I'm not paying that. Just
no. I mean, they told me, my homeowners, they said it ain't going to help you if somebody breaks into your car and takes it, because it's not in your home. They didn't come to rob you out of your house. So I'm like, geez, everybody just, insurance companies, man, they just want to stick it to you, and they don't want to pay it out when the time comes. So I've been dumped on by the insurance company a few times.
Yeah, I would hate to have to file a claim and then them dump me.
Well, I had my gear stolen from my house, but I had already put a claim on my homeowner's insurance for some things that weren't caught when my house got inspected. There were some serious problems with the house that they paid for to get fixed. And then when I had my gear stolen, they said, if you put in a claim, we're going to drop you and no one's going to insure you. So basically I lost, like, I'm not going to say how much 25 years worth of gear got stolen, and I didn't have any gear for like 2 years. I had to start all over again.
Yeah, it's painful.
I couldn't put it on the claim. I wouldn't have been able to insure my house.
Yep.
We had this discussion a while back too, talking about insurance, and there is a plan out there. I think D Moots picked it up. What is it?
Marina plan or something?
Yeah.
Inland Marine. I think they call it Inland Marine.
Yeah.
Yeah. My wife works for Travelers Insurance, and she told me, yeah, she knows about Inland Marine.
Yeah. So Miles Man says he has about 20K in insurance on his homeowner's policy, I guess. Yeah. I would have, let's see, should cover what I have outside my home at any time. Okay. Now, I don't think 20 grand would, well, with depreciation, it'd be not close either. I shouldn't say that. I got way too much junk.
We're waiting for you to have your Chuck Talks lens auction.
Have a yard sale.
You got to have a lens auction on your live stream, saying, here we go. You got to learn to talk fast. You got to have the little gavel. Sold.
Yeah, there you go. It's what Vaughan told me too. He said, you just need to sell everything on your live stream.
Yeah.
Oh, if mine got stolen, I'd just have to pick up a pencil and paintbrush again. So I couldn't buy all that stuff again.
Yeah.
It would definitely take a while.
Still people talking about the Z8. Yeah. I don't care what Nikon does now. I got to tell you, Nikon's beginning to rub me the wrong way too. So I love this lens, but you know what? Nikon's going to become just a small fish in a big sea. I don't know.
I always say, just tell us, yeah, we got one coming out and this is what it's going to be. When, we don't know. Okay.
Yep.
That's cool. Now I know.
Yeah.
I know if I want to start saving or don't worry about it.
I used to do that years ago. I used to always tell you what's coming out next.
Mm-hmm. I don't know.
MPS were really good at that.
I don't know why it's
Never
so
not.
secretive. I guess because they're all fighting against the other ones, and who cares? They're going to leapfrog you anyway.
Yeah. No doubt about that.
I'll tell you, if I would say a large percentage of people can't afford it. I mean, if they have a major lens investment, they can't afford to leapfrog.
Mm-mm.
So they can't afford to get 50% for their glass and start all over again and pay full price for somebody else's stuff. I mean, I'm not one anyway that can do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just tired of it too. That's just the way it is. David, how you doing, buddy? Hadn't recognized you since I brought you in, buddy. Sorry.
Got you in there, did you?
Yeah, I just kind of snuck in here,
We
Yeah.
saw that.
Well,
Yeah.
David wasn't moving. I thought he was just frozen and he hasn't warmed up yet.
Well, I was out shooting portraits with my 800 today. So, and that's just
With
trying
your-
it out to see what I could do.
Shooting portraits with your 800?
Yeah, birds.
Okay. Oh.
Feathered
Yeah.
sorts or the other sort?
The kind that flies, not the other sort.
Oh,
Right?
okay.
Yeah, I know about the other sort, but it was too cool here for them to be around.
Yeah.
See, Woody.
Let's see. What are you asking here, Matthew? Let's see. Hey, panel, here's a question. Which website, platform, or service does everyone use? Which website, platform, or service?
Well, I use Safari for my Mac unless I'm on Chuck's show, and then I have to switch over to something else so it'll work better.
Yeah.
I use Brave because
I
it's
got to switch
filtered
over.
out with
I got to
ads.
switch over to Chrome when I go on Chuck's show.
Yeah.
I think Matthew is actually talking about who's your host for your site.
I don't have a site, Matthew, because I'm not a pro photographer or working photographer, so I don't have a site. And he's saying he uses SmugMug.
Oh, okay.
I
Yeah,
don't. Craig uses Squarespace.
Squarespace.
yeah. I mean, I did a portfolio. I have a portfolio web page, through the Adobe plan that I have some older pictures on, and but I don't have anything else right now, and I don't do Facebook or Instagram or any of that stuff. I just do my YouTube stuff, and then I come on here to pick on Chuck, and that's about all I do.
There you go. Zach says Chuck is lying. This video or this stream is brought to you by Triangle Space. Yes. John Ishii earlier said Round Space is what he uses. Yeah, I don't know how Squarespace is in business. They've given away so many sponsorships.
Yeah, but it's only 10%. And how long does it last? So. But I'm sure they've got it all figured out.
Yeah.
Yeah, how many YouTube channels? This is brought to you by Squarespace.
Then it took off, didn't it?
I should just say this is. But when I do mine, I should just say this is brought to you by my bedroom studio.
There you go. So Daryl says, if I created a website, it might help with becoming NPS. So I too could get a wonderful blanket from NPS or with an NPS logo on it. That's too funny, Daryl. Yeah. Yeah. I don't need a portfolio. I don't need any of that stuff. At one time I thought I might do that. And now I'm glad I didn't because I have no idea what I was thinking then. There's plenty of things that I shared on social media. Of course, that's not the same thing, but anyway, yep. No desire now. I own a domain space though. I own American Photo Shoot on, so I could AmericanPhotoshoot.com. I could actually set up a website, but I haven't. Anyway.
Yeah, I got my domain I own too for selective imagery. That's my domain name. So I keep that up to date, and I always pay on it every year to maintain that.
Yeah. I do too. I don't know why, Jeffrey. It's one of those things I just, I haven't stopped paying for, like all the crap. What's all the stuff, the storage. Shoot, man, I'm getting so bad, people. I tell you, I spend so much time during the day doing other stuff. I can't think at night. It's getting worse and worse. The friggin' airspace storage or whatever. Everybody's going, what?
Storage.
The cloud. The friggin' cloud. I couldn't think of the cloud. Imagine that. Yeah, I'm still paying for cloud space I don't even want. I need to stop that too. Oh man.
Well, see, Chuck, that's what happens when you get to our age. You know, you only got so much room in your brain. It's like a hard drive. Something comes in, something's got to go out.
Well, in the Army, we call it a 3-book shelf. If you want to put another book on the shelf, one's going to fall off the end. That's it. I got a 2-book shelf going up here in my head. So,
Well, when you get older, instead of calling it the cloud, we should just call it the fog.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh man, Squarespace is doing well. Craig says, Z-Wade Photo. Zach says they raised the price on me. Squarespace need to change the name to $ square $space. Yeah. Mozman says cheapest option is to build your own. Mozman, who you talking to?
You go like this, you go, you're talking to me, Willis?
I can't do plug and play peripherals, let alone build a website. Are you kidding me? Oh man.
Dreamweaver. I remember Dreamweaver. Oh my God.
And I'm not too far from the first time I had to turn a computer on, asking the guy where the key was to this thing. No, I ain't doing nothing,
So there are a lot of options out here. A lot of people talking about different things. Craig C, the Adobe portfolio is actually really good, included in the Lightroom Photoshop plan, I guess, $10 plan. Yeah. Can even use your custom domain. Okay, that's cool. So Sith says, I paid $250, a $250 discount from Squarespace from last year holiday discount. I have yet to complete the website. Too lazy. That would be me too. That would be me too, Sith. That's actually what I'm doing with that cloud storage. Man, they're making a fortune off people like me. Matthew says he owns 3 domain names. Have had 2 for 23 years. Wow. Has the internet been alive that long? I guess it has.
Well, that was back in the
That was turned on in 1969.
American Online days, baby.
Tim says, I'm NPS already. Nikon pessimistic stream. Yes. Yeah, we kind of talked about that today too, Vahagan and I. And, Nikon's never going to approach me for anything other than to hand me a cease and desist order. Oh, man.
Yep. I'm going to have to head up my my photography dealer for some Nikon swag. I'll have to tell them I won't buy anything more unless I get something in return. See what happens.
Yeah, Z.
Yeah, they're pretty tight with that stuff, If you were NPS Day, and then they'd shower you with gifts, but
Yeah.
Yeah, I notice everybody here is NPS.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No problem, sir.
It's funny, Z. I've had that for quite a while now, and periodically it comes up for renewal or whatever, blah blah blah. And I looked at it and I noticed you can actually sell domain names that you bought. I wish I'd have gone in and bought a lot of names way back when, as cheap as they were. But yeah, I noticed that mine actually had a estimate of I think like $1,900 or something like that. to sell that domain name. It's pretty interesting. The .com helps too, because now I guess pretty much out of .coms. iCloud, yes, yeah, Daryl, thanks, man. And Mozman's been developed, and there you go, Moz. There you go, man. You've been doing it, so yeah, that's cool. Not me.
When I look up at the clouds in the sky, I can't tell the difference between the Adobe cloud and the iCloud and everybody else's cloud. They all look the same to me, you know.
Yeah.
Now, I was out shooting with somebody one time, and this was before I even knew what the cloud was. But we was out shooting some birds on a pond, and I said, "Man, I got to get some more storage." You know, he said, "Oh man, just put it in the cloud." And I kind of looked up. I was like, "What is he talking about?" Put it in the cloud. I never heard of that. You know, and he had to explain it to me. I was like, "Man, that just don't sound right."
I don't know, Jason, but I hope it does, because I could sure use a little. Since I don't have any intelligence, artificial would be fine for me, and I could use it. That'd be great. John Ishii says, try grasping what an NFT is. I still don't understand that.
I don't either.
That was just something that actually screwed millions of people out of millions of dollars. That's all that did.
So
Bitcoin goes up and down all the time, doesn't it?
My God, that
is
was dumbass
Bitcoin still real?
stuff.
Yeah, sort of. If
Man.
you're brave enough.
Oh, man.
Yep, cloud is just a server farm. Yeah, that's all it is. Just like we got I'm sure, you know, you could say that YouTube has a cloud too. I mean, they just have huge servers that store everybody's videos.
Daryl, yep, cloud storage companies and gyms, they have the same model. That's great. Yeah, exactly. Oh man, gym has 25,000 members. You go in, there's 10 people in there.
Yeah. Well, the other ones go. They'll say, "Well, the other ones come at 3 a.m. You're just not here when it's busy."
Yeah. Oh man. Oh man. Zach says Chuck and I will never get NPS. I think we have to have a file from our nasty grams. Yeah, absolutely, Zach. Oh man. And I am beaten. I'll tell you what, I am out of here at midnight tonight, guys. For those of you that don't know, which is pretty much everybody, tomorrow morning I'm getting up early, and my beautiful bride, it has to go back to the headquarters for about, I don't know, 6 weeks. So I'm driving her back to Raleigh tomorrow, and then I'm going to fly back Monday night. But long drive ahead of us tomorrow down to Raleigh. So again, I'll be out of here by midnight, or so I think anyway. Let's see. VNL Lab says NFT is a tax on stupidity. Yeah. So what was that? Buying some idea or something?
No, it's non-fundable tokens.
Yeah, you could doodle some stupid thing and say it's art, and somebody pays some crazy amount of money for it, and it's something that your 5-year-old could do, you know, and it's worth millions, and people buy it, and I don't know, it's just crazy stuff.
I'd say
Crazy stuff.
Yeah. Somebody bought the likeness of somebody. I saw this a while back. It's been a couple of years ago or more. Bought a photo of one of the basketball players dunking a basketball. He bought that for like $100-something thousand. And I'm thinking, okay, what did you buy exactly? I don't understand.
Well, can he put it on his wall?
I was just going to say, can you show it to me?
No, it's. I think they can print it out if they wanted to, but
It's just
what's
a
that
digital.
about? You know, or They get a little plaque with a stamp size picture on it or something. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. But if they got
millions.
$100,000 just to throw on something that they can't even hold.
Yeah, you can't show that. You can't show that. I own that likeness or that photo or whatever.
Yeah.
That is digital. It's not even print. Yeah. Yeah, that's good investment.
I ain't giving somebody $1 if they don't give me something.
Yeah, I'll do all headshots of birds and try to sell them and say I have the rights to all blue heron pictures and great egret pictures because I went and I did that. You can't copy me. You can't take the same bird.
No.
That figures, Mize. You'll be in there Tuesday. I'm flying out Monday night. Yeah. Oh man. All right. So what's going on in the camera world, or what's going on with you guys? Let's pick it up. Let's get some life in this tonight. I'm sorry, I'm dragging it down just because I'm tired. I had to go clean the yard up today, mow a certain area of it that always grows faster than the other, and I couldn't let it go until I get back. And so, yeah, and I had to work in the yard, like I said. So I'm beat already. I'm beat down already. But let's pick it up. What's magic in the photography world right now? What's going on? What are you guys doing?
I've got 2 images to do today, and I'm going to use the 85 because I can.
There you go. There you go. There you go. Absolutely. That's what I want to hear, Roy. Yeah. Use it because you can. Absolutely. Yeah. You know, that's why we buy this stuff, because we want it.
I'll use it even if I have to use extension rings.
That's cool.
Well, I had my 800 out today shooting portraits of birds.
Okay.
I also had my 100 to 400 out for the same thing. And for my lens cases, I had numbers put on them. So, and I think I'm backwards here. Yeah, I better, so you can read it.
Oh,
so that I can.
7.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll change my camera around so that I can find the lens when it's in my carrying case, so I can read the numbers on the top. So, you know,
All right.
I got them big enough so I can see them without my glasses on.
All right. Cool. Yeah, it does. It does for those of us that wear them. John Ishey's going out with Wayne to shoot some photos in Hong Kong Park. That sounds like fun. Or Hong Kong Peak or Park. Sounds like fun either way.
No, I went through about 500 images the last 2 days and whittled them down and edited them and everything. So I'm sick of looking at pictures for a while, although I'll go out Monday and take some more.
There you go. Jeff and Leslie, wildlife and nature photography. He says he's been out shooting wildflowers the past week. Yeah, everything's beginning to bloom up here even, so I'm sure it's in full bloom down there. Next 2 weeks are prime here. Cool. All right. Mr. V. Mr. V's in the chat. I have to go over and look, make sure nobody's joined us. All right. M11 monochrome is magic, Chuck. He's talking about the new Leica, of course. What's good, everybody? No.
Yeah, it's 105 MC season. Yes, it is. Or you'll be surprised how much fun you can have with that 24 to 120. You can focus real close with that too.
Yep. It is a close focusing lens.
I was out today. I had my extension tubes on my 100 to 400 photographing some snails. It was fun.
So what were they doing?
I had three very cooperative models. Man.
Yes. You don't have to use a fast shutter speed for snails. That's
no. But I
Miles,
wanted
I
to show
could
my
be in a
grandson
few
because
weeks.
he's like, "What's them things sticking out?" And I said, "His eyes are on the end of that thing," you know. So I had to do that and show him. He was like, "Holy cow, he's got things on the end of his things," you know. I was like, "Yeah."
Yeah, if you want to make a snail blur, you got to move the camera.
Yeah. I was trying to get some action panning shots, but yeah, it wasn't working.
You know, micro photography's always been interesting to me. I've never really gotten into it and done it myself,
Okay.
but I love looking at, you know, what people do.
Oh, I do. I admire that so much because I'm so bad.
Yeah.
And
Sith
I've
said-
tried.
I'm used to.
yeah. Sith's buying more gear than he uses. Hey, welcome to the club, Sith. I don't have to use it though. Oh,
You know, every time if I don't have something when I'm out shooting, that's what I want.
yeah, exactly.
You know, like I have to carry the 58 with me everywhere because even if I'm shooting a landscape or something, I'm like, let me shoot it on the 58 for some reason. I don't know, but I always shoot stuff with that lens for some reason.
It's cool. That's
And nothing
exactly
ever
what.
turns out a whole lot of times, but
Yeah. Hey, Luke, thank you very much. I don't know if they're great or not, but, you know, I think the ladies were fantastic and I love that lens. So I'm having a ball with it. Thank you, though. John wants to talk the M11 mono on, you know, the Leica. It is a cool, I saw some photos. I thought it was pretty cool, but, yeah, you know, again, well, yeah, but it turns into, you know, you got to want it and then have the bucks to buy it. So, and there are people that do. So there you have it.
Yeah,
I would have to get rid of everything and just have that. You know,
I'd have to.
I don't know if I could do that.
No,
My
Yeah.
interests vary way too much.
yeah, I've already gotten myself in trouble because I am a generalist and do too many different types of photography. And if I just stuck to one thing, I wouldn't have to have so many lenses. But you know, that's where you get hurt.
Yeah.
There you go, Daryl. I never put those two together, but you're right. That'd be a good tune-up for tracking aircraft, wouldn't it? If you can track a bird, then I would imagine it becomes much easier, at least. And like you said, especially shooting with a heavier lens. Cool. Craig C has a 24-120 and he loves it. So Vahagan's asking, let's see, I want an M11 monochrome, or should I get the M11 ?
I'd go, man, go big or go home. Go monochrome.
Yeah.
Limit yourself for your creativity.
Get
And I'm
one of
not saying
each.
it wouldn't work because my camera views always is black and white. So, and when I show somebody, like I was showing a girl I was photographing here not too long ago, and she's like, "Oh my God, you can see everything." You know, I was like, "Yeah, it's sharp." You know,
Yeah.
but the black and white, I can tell better skin tones or something when I look in on it. The shade, so I always keep it in black and white. She's like, "Why is it in black and white?" Don't worry, it'll be in color.
Yeah. No, just tell her that when my kids were young, there was a guy that came to my house and took pictures of my kids, black and white, and then he colorized them, which was a dying art, you know, to do the color by hand. And he asked me if I wanted to learn, and he would have taught me how to do it, you know, because he knew we talked photography and stuff. He says, because he was like probably in his mid 80s or something. He says, "Oh, I wish somebody would want to learn this. I'd be willing to teach them." And I should have taken him up on it, because I'll tell you, he always had a full client list, taking black and whites and then colorizing them by hand, and it was a unique tool, you know, for him and get clients and stuff. It worked for him.
Yeah, there's a few niche people that still do it that are really good at it today.
Yeah.
Well, all of my government photos that I have of me are all black and white. You know, but I do that in such a way so that when their computer system works for a person for face recognition, it doesn't work because I get everything is too close together. The colors when they're black and white or the shades of gray. But anyway, just
So-
something that you get away with in Canada.
Yeah. All right. Let me go fill up my coffee cup one more time, and I shall be back shortly. Jeffrey, if you don't mind, just keep an eye on the fire, make sure it doesn't go out.
Yeah. Well, there's a few comments in here talking about Mr. Moose Peterson, you know, because he has quite a few aircraft books, and you know he shoots planes from inside other planes, and he does do a wonderful job with aircraft photography, and of course he does a lot of nature photography and hummingbird trips to Mexico and all sorts of things that he does. So people like to pick on him, but he does do great work. I feel he does anyway.
Yeah. I've got a book signed by Mr. Moose Peterson. I took a couple of bird photos using strobes, setting up a perch and everything outside. And he liked it enough that he sent me an autographed book. The only time I actually did that too. So there you have it. All right. I'll be right back, gents.
Yeah, Daryl H. Wait for it. The 2 to 600 is going to get announced very soon because he just bought a 1 to 4. Well, isn't that how it always goes? You wait, and then you say, well, you know what? I could probably get by with this, and I'll be happy enough. And you go and get it, and then it's like you blink your eyes, and then the lens you wanted comes out, and then you're like beating your head on your desk. You know, it's like that stuff seems to happen all the time.
Well, the 1 to 400, that's S line, but the 200 to 600 is not.
Right.
You know, so
Yeah.
so I don't think you can really go wrong with the 100 to 400. You know, I was using it a fair bit today too.
Now, remind everybody in the chat that Verhagen has his show this week with Steve Perry this coming week. So for those of you that are into birding, check it out. Go to Verhagen's channel and check it out. And
I actually saw some gators at the zoo today, but they're only about this long, so they're nothing like you have to contend with, Jeffrey. So,
well, I mean, the cracks are the ones that someday I'll see, and I'll be like, they'll make the alligators look like little lizards, you know. Some of those crocs are gigantic. I mean, most alligators, the males, I mean, they'll get wider. I mean, when you see the males will usually get like 15 feet. Not that there's always an exception to the rule, but normally they're 15 feet and the females are like 12. But I tell you, you see a 13-foot gator that's been eaten well. It's so wide. You think you're looking at it, you think you're looking at a dinosaur. You really do. I mean, that's the closest thing you got to a dinosaur is to look at an alligator or a
At least the
crocodile.
gators don't try and jump in the boat with you.
You know.
The crocodiles tend to like to jump in the boat with you.
I love photographing alligators, man.
I got a picture of there's an estuary up in Queensland where my aunt lives, and used to be a lot of sharks in there. There isn't anymore because all the alligators ate them.
Wow.
Yeah, I got a picture of an alligator pulling a shark out the river.
Yeah, there was like 3 weeks. I think it's 3 weeks ago now, and I missed it by a day because you pick your days you're going to go shoot, and of course you always pick the wrong one because you go there the next day and someone was there the day before and they said to me, well, you missed the alligator eating the pelican yesterday. I go, of course it was yesterday when I didn't come. Of course it was.
You got to
But,
be
yeah,
there.
took out a pelican from behind. Oh, Roy, you might have an answer to this better than me. What's the advantage of converting a camera to a monochrome sensor when you can select it in camera anyway?
There is a different look to it. A true monochrome camera, because it doesn't have photo sites with the three colors ahead of each one, it is much better and more dynamic.
More shades of gray, as they say.
More shades of grey, yeah.
Yeah.
But for me, I'd never go that way because it's just not worth the cost.
Yeah.
But you can shoot color on a monochrome camera. Just use 3 colored filters and 3 shots. Just merge them. I had to do that once.
So David, where did you go to take your bird pictures?
We have a bird sanctuary in town, and it's went out there today to try out the gimbal that I got for my 800, and it's Gustavo. He gave me some hints, but I think his hints were a little bit outside my price range at the moment. So, and then we were at the bird sanctuary for a couple of hours, and then we went over to the zoo and wanted to see the bears, and the grizzlies were out, and they're massive, So never want to get close to a grizzly because they can outrun a horse, so I don't have a chance.
You just got to be faster than whoever you're with.
Yeah, that helps,
Just lay down and cry. Maybe he'll figure you're not worth it.
I'll tell you, I ran into this guy. Went to North Carolina with a friend, and we met a few other friends at Magnolia Plantation in North Charleston, North Carolina. And we met this guy, and he had a necklace on, and he had all these different claws on this necklace. And I only caught parts of the conversation. I guess he used to do tours for photographers and stuff like that. But he says he takes off the necklace or lifts it up, and he says, and this is a black bear claw, So you're looking at something about like this, and then he goes, oh, and this one's the grizzly bear claw, and the thing was gigantic, and it's like now you understand why. If a grizzly just swipes you once, you're probably going to bleed out. When I saw the size of that claw in person, I'm like, okay, yeah, all right. Black bear looks like nothing compared to that grizzly claw. It was amazing how big it was.
Yeah, we've got a grizzly in Banff that is taking out black bears and bull elk and whatever, and so you have a tendency to want to stay away from him. And the parks people, I think they have him collared, but he pretty well has free reign, of where he wants to go. And they call him the boss.
Oh yeah, he's
But
the boss, all right.
Robert Panetti says the Sony group burnt the midnight oil to get the M11 monochrome sensor done. Is it got a Sony sensor in it? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I think Leica makes their own, don't they, Roy?
Don't know.
Yeah, I don't know
I don't
either.
follow Sony very much. I get bored easy.
Or do they work with Hasselblad?
Well, Hasselblad don't make their own sensors either, I don't think.
I don't know.
Never DJI.
Yeah, I don't think Hasselblad makes their own sensors. They're probably getting them from Sony, I would think.
I'm just glad Nikon goes to the Sony imaging department and pulls their sensors right off the shelf that Sony has made for themselves. That's what everybody thinks. So yeah.
Yeah, everybody's saying let's get a petition going or something and get Bayou Josh back on and Stu Blue.
Yeah.
I think Stu Blue's in too much in a happy place right now with his business, if you know what I mean.
No, he definitely is. I think he's writing for what's his name, Tom Arnold, for his show. He's writing the script for Tom Arnold's show.
Is that good or bad?
No, I'm sorry, not Tom Arnold. Jim Belushi, his show. You know, Jim Belushi's got a show out, growing dope worldwide or something. I don't know. There you go. That's where we're at in America. We got shows about,
you go from a cop and then you end up growing the stuff you used to arrest people from when they smoked it on the streets.
Well,
Evolution.
well, he's definitely probably well versed in distribution, so nothing wrong with that. He knows all the right distribution points.
Well, it's the same business, just the other side of the fence.
Yeah.
There's not much of a fence there, is there? It's all blurred.
Yeah.
Well, there's no real fence in Canada. It's all in the amount that you have. But in BC, we've got a black market, a gray market, and a white market. So it's interesting. You know, it's depending on what you want. When it comes to cannabis, you can get it all in the gray market, and their prices are quite a bit lower than in the white market.
Oh man, Sith, man, I got to tell my wife that somebody else is a K-pop fan, and Blackpink. I know about Blackpink only because my wife is all about BTS, big time. I mean, really into it. Blackpink tonight. I'm gonna have to yell up there to her that that's on TV tonight or something. So you guys don't have the luxury of knowing everything there is to know about BTS. I do. And tomorrow, all day long in the car, I'm going to learn even more about BTS. So here's a funny thing about BTS. They're out of South Korea. It's K-pop. All right. So they're all in their 20s now, late 20s or whatever. And so they have to go serve in the South Korean military, and their fans, they have just any one of them can get on, do a live with their phone, and they'll have 25 million people watching them just sitting around in their room talking to each other or whatever. And the fans are in an uproar because they have to go serve their country. And my wife and I had a little discussion about that when she was talking about, well, they might get an exemption from the government and all this. I said, you know what? If they do, America needs to pull all of their troops out of South Korea. We need to just pull all of our troops out of there. If they can't serve their own country to safeguard it, and we've got troops that are stationed there, but by the way, it's a hardship tour typically to go to Korea. And these guys are going to get a pass? No, I don't think so. I think they need to step up to the plate. But anyway, got way off topic there. Blackpink tonight. I wonder if she knows. All right, there's your history, your little trivia lesson on BTS, K-pop, and Blackpink.
Yeah, they're going to be on tonight.
I got to tell her.
Gustavo's asking what lenses are missing in the Z lineup after the 2023 batch is out. And I would say if they choose to do it, because obviously they're having a lot of third party lenses out there, a lot of third party companies doing DX lenses for them. I don't know if they would do any, but they still got fisheye lenses. I don't know if they would make fisheye lenses in the Z mount or not. I don't know if there's enough demand to do it.
Niche.
It's a niche. Yeah, they'd be getting into the niche market at that point. I think once they complete their, unless they're going to do some DX lenses, and I don't think they're going to do it really. Not too many, one or two, but
135 would be nice. A good 135 millimeter.
Yeah, that's on their list but
on my list for a long time.
Yeah,
right next to the 200 to 600.
Yeah, I think the 200 to 600 is the longest one that everybody's been waiting for, even longer than the 85 1.2.
I'd like to see a 28 f1.2.
Well, maybe they figure if they wait long enough, the technology will change and they can surprise us with what they do with it.
Nick, now I want black pink. Matthew, yeah, a lot of. Don't tell me you follow them too, Matthew. Man, a lot. No, only one is actually in the military right now. The next one is. Let me see if I get this right. J Hope, and he's due to go here in a few weeks or something like that. Again, I get a constant feed of BTS info from my lovely bride.
Yeah, Daryl, I think you're right. I think the 2 to 600 was on one of the earlier, if not the earliest, roadmaps. It's long overdue. But hey, I mean, I agree that the 85 should have came out first because they really, they flooded the wildlife people with lenses, albeit not necessarily the most inexpensive lenses, but they did, put lenses out. So it was time to satisfy another genre of photography. You have to try to keep everybody happy, not just one group.
Well, I thought the whole world got into bird photography all at once.
No. You would think so, but we're a lot smaller percentage than you may think.
Yep.
I would say there's probably a lot more wedding photographers out there than anybody else.
Yeah, bird photography did bring AF to the forefront, though. I mean, that's where we're at right now, which is why Canon's done a great job in getting that AF shoved all the way down into their lower tier cameras, and Sony's done the same.
Like you can buy the Trinity for the same price as our 800.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Yeah, 200 F2, Matthew Card just threw in there. I don't even know what you're responding to, Matthew. Man, I am just not with it tonight.
300 and 400 have always been the sports lenses.
And that makes sense, too.
Yeah, like a 300 was always good for high school games and stuff like that,
600 for wildlife.
Yeah.
Do you think they'll do a 300 2.8 in Z mount?
Maybe eventually.
I mean, that was a big selling lens for a long time. That 300.
Well, you got to wonder if they're going to do, if they're going to replicate, because you have the 300 PF, you have the 300 and the 500 PF in the F mount. Are they going to come out with a 300 and a 500 PF in the Z mount? Who knows?
Yeah, but I mean,
I think they just hit the sweet spot with that 400, 4.5 and said that should satisfy them for a while.
Yeah, I mean, would the 300 PF come before a 300 prime 2.8? I don't know.
Probably not. I think the 2.8's going to be more important for sports shooters.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't know what Nikon's going to do as far as all the traditional lenses. I mean, they're trying their best, I guess, to catch up with It's going to take a while to catch up with the F mount with every focal length, obviously.
I mean, none of them have a 300 2.8 in their new mounts.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
None of them have a 200 f2.
You know what they need?
So
What they-
I don't see a need. Well, I mean, everybody can say they need it, but a 400 2.8. I mean,
Well, what they need to do too is they don't really have any fast ultra wide angle primes either.
no.
You know, they don't have like a 14 millimeter, prime Z mount lens, or I think the 20 is the widest that they have. So they should have a few that are wider than that.
But they didn't in the F mount for primes, nothing that was fast.
Well, they can't really, when they get the 14 millimeter, it's not going to be a 1.2 or anything crazy like that, but it'll be probably,
14 AFS wasn't very good either.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying I'd like to get a 28 because it's really good for my Aurora, and it's my go-to lens. And like I said, the current one I have, it's 10 years old, and that's the length of time I've had it, and it's about time I update it to something, but there's nothing there.
Vahagan says we don't need lenses, we need bodies.
I'm the other way around. I want lenses.
Yeah.
Does it have to, for shooting at Aurora Borealis, does it have to be a fast lens, or what does it, how is it different from normal astro?
I've got a 20, a 24, and a 28. They're all f1.8s, and I'd like to get something that's faster because I try to get the shutter speed to less than 2 seconds, and I don't like going above 6400 for an ISO. And some nights 2 seconds is too long. So I'm pushing the boundaries of what I can do with my gear. And I just got to, it's one of the few times where it's a problem. And now I've got an 810A, which I don't know if you have, Roy. And I'm using my 850, and I got a 750 in my Z9. But my 810A is my go-to camera at the moment, and I'm going to modify it so it'll be full spectrum.
Yeah, I've been looking at that camera for a very long time. I haven't got around to buying one. The 810A is the Astro camera.
Yeah. So I actually have something that you don't.
Yes, you do. I've only got an 800E and an 850.
Hey, Dave, you can make a T-shirt out of that. I got something that Roy doesn't, and then everybody will say, "Roy, who?"
Well, it's not that often, that anybody has something that Roy doesn't.
Yeah, it's pretty hard. It would be pretty hard to have something that Roy doesn't have.
If it's a lens, just assume Roy Bigsby has one.
Yeah, it's not a lens, Daryl. But anyway, but like I say, I'm pushing the limits to what I can do, and I've been doing this for a number of years, and some nights it doesn't matter. 30-second exposures is plenty, but other nights, like for the picture behind me, I think that was 4 seconds, and it's just not fast enough.
Yeah, D800D, great camera, but the A version, that's what you have, right?
Yeah, the Alpha.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I remember when they announced that camera and everybody was talking about, can I use it for daily shooting as well? And Nikon recommended that you don't.
Yeah, the colors are wonky.
Mm-hmm.
It's very specialized camera.
Yeah, you can get a filter to put on your lenses to bring it back.
Hmm.
You know, when,
Also had a cooling system for it too, if you wanted to go all the way.
Yep.
I haven't had a problem with mine getting hot, but at least shooting the aurora. But I think because my exposures are all really short in time, but if I was going the other way, but it was one of the first cameras. You could set your on manual. You could go up to 15 minutes for an exposure.
Vahagan says, I have a lens that Roy knocked have.
Knocked on wood.
Yeah.
That's a nice lens. I'd like to play with that for a week.
Mm.
I don't think I want to buy it because it's just too expensive for what it is, but it's a lovely looking lens.
Yeah, it
Looks
is.
like some lovely images from it.
Mm-hmm. So, what do you think this 135 is going to be? Is it going to be a 1.8 lens? Is it going to be f2 or
F2 would be nice. Like the
I'm
old
trying-
DC lenses. Those DC AFD lenses were fantastic.
Mm. Yeah, I don't know, but 135 sounds intriguing though. I mean, is it going to rival the 200 f2 with whatever comes out? I'm wondering.
Probably.
Maybe that will be the substitute for the 200 f2.
There's probably a market for both.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've still got a couple of those DC lenses. They are absolutely stunning. Pity they don't work on the Z autofocus.
Yeah, Daryl's right. They have it positioned on the roadmap on the same line as the 1.8 lenses.
Yeah.
So that
That
would be
nice.
that would be interesting.
A fast 135 would be brilliant. 85 or 135 for headshots is absolutely perfect.
The only thing is at 135, man, that limits you to outdoor portraits unless you have a huge studio, doesn't it? Well, I guess you said headshots. So, yeah, I don't even know if I could do a headshot with 135 in my little studio.
Fast glass is better outside anyway. Inside, I'm only going to shoot let's say 5.6.
Yeah.
I'm not going to shoot wide open indoors because there's just no point.
Daryl's asking what everybody thinks the price point will be on that lens, the 135. I have no idea.
I know it might be here, but I'd probably say $3,000 in America, US.
Yeah.
Depending
Yeah,
on how fast it is.
Yeah, and then Matthew Card says the next 1.2 is what, the 35 f1.2. Yeah, that's a safe bet that will be the next 1.2.
Yeah.
I'm getting sick of them saying that mirrorless is smaller.
Yeah, that's yeah. Isn't it funny how that really only worked out if you were shooting micro 4/3 or
Even then,
pretty
they're
much
pretty
micro
big.
4/3?
But you know, that's a discriminator for that 85. A lot of people that if it came out, I mean, if it was just absolutely mind blowing, well, it's too heavy. Can't get it.
I love it. It's quite a nice lens. I haven't had it long enough to tell what it can do yet, but it looks really impressive. Lovely colors.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
Really nice lens.
I found that the same thing between carbon fiber tripods and aluminum tripods is the difference in weight for my 2 Manfrotto tripods is something like 20 grams.
Yeah, it's not worth it, is it?
And I'm not too sure which one of the two is lighter.
The
Because
bigger.
for 20 grams. Well, like they're both the same model other than one's aluminum. You know, but I do like my carbon fiber better because it's got an extra section on the legs, so I can
Yes.
fold it up smaller.
I like mine Frodo tripods. I hate the heads though. I don't like their locking system
Yeah.
for the plates.
Vahagan has a question for everybody on the panel. Would you be shocked if the Z8 is a myth? What if it's purely smoke? Nothing shocks me anymore from Nikon, so no, I would not be shocked.
I'm gonna be married to my Z9 for a while, so it don't matter.
Me too. I'd have to get another Z9.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel the same way down the road. I mean, I would like to think it will be similar enough that it will be a Z8, similar enough to a Z9 where I could save a few bucks, but worst come to worst, it is nice when you have two identical cameras.
It is. It works really well.
Or at
I've
least
always
the
had
ergonomics
totally
are so close to each other. Yeah. Because I wouldn't, I would never have wanted to carry two D5s. I like carrying the D5 with the D850, even though, I mean, each camera had their specific use. That's even out shooting motocross. The 85 1.2 is amazing. Nikon is keeping up with the demand on it too. That's a good point. Is it because the demand for it isn't as great, or what do you think? Why do you think Nikon's able to keep up with the demand for the 85 1.2?
I think that may be why it took them so long. Just stockpiling inventory.
Yeah, they must have stockpiled.
That
They've
may
learned
be
their
what they're
lesson.
doing with these new cameras.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you would think most portrait photographers would be looking to buy it, and wedding photographers, and you would think there'd be a
Fashion.
lot of demand for it, you know?
Fashion photographers on runways where they can't use a flash.
Yeah.
I've got an interesting story about my Z8. Is when I went to order it, the salesman, who is extremely knowledgeable in all of this stuff, is he walked over to the counter or their display case about where it would be going. There is a place for it. The only thing is that they didn't have the number ready for it yet, but he figured that the number would have been there on the spot for it. So when I put my deposit down, so we have a number to go against it. So I don't think they're that far away,
Yeah.
because otherwise he wouldn't have done that. But it's his way of telling me that it's imminent, but he didn't say a thing. Because from what I hear from other people, is NDA that Nikon has everybody sign is extremely strict, and it's much stricter than it's ever been.
Yeah, I'll say this without, I don't have confirmation of this statement, but I'll make it as if I know absolutely it's the truth. Their NDA right now is bulletproof. No doubt about it, because there is nothing coming out of Nikon, nothing. And that could mean one of two things. One, the NDA is that strict, which I believe that's the case, or Nikon has nothing on the drawing board. So you take that for what it's worth. Oh, man.
Well, Chuck, you and I have had this discussion before, but I figure it takes at least 5 years from the time that they start working on a camera, doing the design, until they can get it on the store shelf.
Well, Nikon should start a lot sooner, I guess, because the other camera companies must have started 5 years ago, because they're just pounding the stores with models. So
Yeah.
we can't even use that anymore. We can't even go back to, well, it's a supply chain. Well, then Nikon's the only one that found a supply chain that's out of everything.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody else is doing just fine. But so I don't know.
I just think they're stockpiling because they were embarrassed by not being able to get the Z9 to people.
Well, no, Joe, this goes back way before the Z9, not Nikon sending out letters of, we're sorry, we didn't expect the demand. So then we got to go to, well, they're a smaller company, they have lower production, blah, blah, blah. D800 was that way. Anybody else remember that? I do, clearly. The D800 was that way. The D850 was a little bit like that, not near as bad as the D800 or the Z9. That's because you had the D810, which was a phenomenal camera. And again, these upgrades to these cameras that we're talking about, the D800 was completely different. It was a game changer. And, Nikon was the first to come out with a very large megapixel sensor, the 36 megapixel sensor. But anyway, so the 500 PF, man, I wanted that lens. I was ready to buy that lens. Only problem was they only made 18 of them. Now, I don't know how many they made, but it seems that way because it was a whole year before they had any kind of restock for that lens. So this goes back. This isn't Nikon's first, time doing this. And every time something new was coming out, we'd all make the same statement. Well, Nikon's learned their lesson and they're going to make sure they have plenty, to meet the demand. Didn't happen. Hasn't happened. So
Yeah.
I'm hopeful you're right. Though.
Canon mostly back then, so I didn't really pay attention to Nikon.
Oh yeah.
So,
This is an ongoing trend with Nikon. And I'm hopeful though that you're right, Joe. Honestly, I hope you're right. But we're going to find out here before too long. Wait a minute. Let me retract that statement. We're going to find out. I'm going to leave it at that. There is no timeline associated with anything anymore. Oh man.
I would like that 500, but the Z came out, or the Z lenses. And I'm waiting for something to come out in that size.
Yeah. The 300 PF lens, you could get that right away. That seemed to be in stock, readily in stock. But that 500 PF, no. It just clamped down after the first shipment, it seems like. And you couldn't get that lens. Nikon wouldn't even, I don't know if Nikon was making them or what, but you couldn't get it. And it was like a year before that lens showed up again on shelves. Well, it didn't show up on shelves for a few months when they initially got more stock because people had been waiting on it for so long. But yeah, not Nikon's first time having to go through this. But maybe they've changed. Maybe they've changed.
Well, Gustavo is there is answer his question. I think it's going to be the 2 to 600.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's the other one is too much of a niche.
It's interesting though because those lenses serve different groups.
Yeah.
I do believe the 2 to 600 is probably in more demand, and it depends on that 135. How they showcase it. Are people just going to have it? I don't know. And will they make as many of the 135? That's another. We don't know what their initial run of that lens will be as to whether, it's going to be on the shelf or it's something that's going to be in high demand as well. High demand could be the fact that 2,000 people want it and they're running a limited run of the 135 because, again, they don't expect that kind of demand. We'll have to wait and see.
Well, that could be how the 800 PF went because they're only making, was it 300 a month? And if you get 200 people or 2,000 people want it, that's 7 months production.
Now, who knew 800 6.3 millimeter lens would be something people would want for $7,000? Yeah, who knew that?
Well,
I mean,
I've got one. Jeffrey's got one.
I'm being sarcastic. Who knew an 800 millimeter lens for $7,000 would be, in demand? Who knew that?
You notice how I'm not saying anything.
Yeah.
Especially when it's less than half the price of the 600.
Yeah, that's how I looked at it. Yeah. The Roy answered a few questions in here about people that still want to have a converter to shoot AFD lenses on a Z camera. And I agree with Roy. I mean, that's never going to happen for a couple reasons.
Taking too long.
One is you got to realize how many generations of different types of motors have been in lenses. Okay, over the years, you had ultrasonic and you stepper motors, and then you got the voice coil motor ones, and so you go and you put an old lens like that, even if they made an adapter, it would perform so poorly on a Z9. It would the Z9 body out technology wise is so far ahead of those old lenses. It's just like it wouldn't make any sense to do it. You just wouldn't be happy with the results. I mean, people think they would be, but
So
And the Mega and Tech Arts don't work the same way either. They move by just moving the lens forward and back. They only work on some lenses and fairly well, but not brilliantly.
yeah, it would be a waste. It really wouldn't.
It would.
They're not going to do it.
yeah. Yeah. Well, here's the thing everybody talked about, we've been talking about all year long. People were not just this year. Now we got to go back into 2022 talking about what a great job Nikon had done with lenses. And, but unfortunately the great job they didn't serve a smidgen of the people in the Nikon camp. I mean, nobody could afford those beautiful lenses, and they're incredible. The 600 TC, the 400 TC, the 800 PF, probably the most affordable in the bunch, and still a great lens. But still, it's, I don't want to say niche lens, but it is.
It is.
So why are Nikon people upset? Everybody tried to calm everybody down by saying, but look at what Nikon's done with nobody cares. People want something in their hand to shoot with and do whatever. And those lenses, as incredible as they are, don't make up the difference between waiting on a camera body or other lens type or lens focal length or whatever. So, I don't understand their marketing, their whole ploy for marketing. I guess a lot of people said that they wanted all these long telephoto lenses out, these primes for the Olympics and everything else. Now we're coming up on the Olympics again. And I don't know. Anyway.
Well, they might be releasing at 600 PF. That should be affordable.
And you know what? That lens does interest me, believe it or not. It does, even though I wouldn't shoot it very often. But then again, I wouldn't make any money on it. So I guess I shouldn't get it.
That's half the more reason to get it.
Yeah,
more fun that way.
I think we gotta, you gotta start a new club, and just call it the poor man's photography club, for all of us that don't make any money with our cameras.
That's most photographers.
We can say, send us money because we're such sad people.
But the old 600 Pro lenses are very heavy. Even the new 600 TCs are very heavy lens. I don't want to carry that.
Don't forget to subscribe and like for Chuck's channel.
Yeah, shirt time. Where's the shirt, Chuck?
It's been so quiet in here tonight. It's been such a peaceful chat. I didn't figure anybody was interested. They're like, wow, this is boring. I'm going to bed. But I'll hold it up here only because, again, my bride thought about me, but
it had nothing to do with us.
Yeah. Vahagen's in here in the chat, of course. He's over there. Vahagen said, hey, you're going to have a really lively stream tonight. Well, we've proven that wrong, V.
Yeah, he's stirring the pot in there, though.
I know he is. And so many people don't want to go there. But I've said all I need to say. I've talked about Peter Nikon rumors. I know Maz is a little upset with Nikon rumors or Peter and whatever, or however. I don't know, Maz. I don't know what's going on there. But the bottom line is it's a rumor site. That's exactly what it is. It's not a fact site. It doesn't have to be close to fact. People still go there. All the people that are complaining about it. Again, I said this earlier. Peter's loving it because it's driving more people to the site. That's exactly what he wants. That's how he earns a living. So whether it's controversial or not, and it is, and if you get in those threads over there, just forget it. You can't, if you think you're going to go in there and straighten somebody out, forget that. That's not going to happen. All you can do is make fun of the people that comment there with their stupid comments. Like, why do you need that lens? What do you need it for? Don't ask me that question. Just tell me you're happy I'm getting it. But yeah, and Peter did make a comment over there in that thread talking about there was never any. I can't remember how it goes, but something about the Z8 never was or whatever. It's funny that he was talking about it too. And there, so like I told Vahagan, if you're going to make that statement, just make it this way. Tell them this is my opinion, and me looking at all the things that are going on out there. This is what I come up with as the next logical step, announcement, camera, whatever, because that's what I did. I'm going to stick to my guns on what I predicted. We'll see what happens. And again, like I said, I'll be the first to come on here and say, you know what? I was wrong. And I didn't harm anybody by making the statements that I made. And there's nothing wrong with people doing that. I still laugh at people that are fighting the possibility of a Z8. I laugh at all of you that do that, by the way. I'm going to tell you right now.
You think Vegas is taking bets on that? They can
probably
bet on anything else, right?
Yeah, probably. But I can't believe how many people vehemently fight the possibility of there being a Z8. And they if they looked in a mirror and heard themselves, they're doing exactly what the people that are fighting for a Z8, and they don't realize it. They're making a complete idiot of themselves. If they think the people that want the Z8 and have dreamed it up, are crazy, they need to look at themselves. You're crazy for even fighting with them. And why can't somebody be excited about a dream? Nobody's going to lose their life over it. Nobody's going to lose a fortune over whether it's real or not. Why fight it? Let people enjoy the thought of there might be. Why is that a problem? So it's just funny. That's why I haven't even visited that thread other than when Vaughan was telling me. I went over and looked at some of it, and I'm just not going to, I'm not even going to jump in the mix in that. I believe what I believe, and I'll believe it until I'm shown differently. And that's that. Go ahead,
Well,
David.
Chuck, there's one way to settle some of these rumors is you go down to your local camera supplier and you say, I'm here to pick up my Z9 or my Z8 or Z8 that I received an email saying was here waiting for me. and he could just catch them off guard enough that because you're saying that you're there to pick it up, that they may just come through.
Yeah, people are being very careful about what they're talking about out there. They really are. And I'm back to, I think it's NDA driven. I think Nikon has definitely driven that fact home. You can be prosecuted even in the corporate world for violating an NDA. And I'm betting Nikon has that written into their NDAs as well. They're definitely not going to allow that to happen. Or I am absolutely wrong, and I hope to be able to tell you one way or the other soon. I really do. Or Nikon has nothing on the drawing board, and we're not getting anything for another, 6 to 12 months. Who knows? Who knows who's right? But I'm not going to pick on people that dream, and I don't know why others will. That just drives me crazy. So that's my feeling on it anyway. Vahagan, as we talked about today. Yeah.
I'll look at the Z8 when it comes out.
Yeah. I mean, that's all we can do. But
It could be better. It could be a Z8.
Yeah. Well, there you have it. A Z. And Z is better than Z.
It certainly is.
And now, should you say Nikon or Nikon? What's
Nikon?
Yeah.
Nikon
is correct.
Now I'm saying Nikon and Z. Just because I'm obstinate.
Japanese call it Nikon, so I will too. I get very Z confused though. Too many Americans in my life, I think.
Yeah, they can take 3 years for a Z8, man. It'll be when it comes.
So that begs the question though. What is the Z8 if it can't be done now? If it's taking so long, what is the Z8? It must be something mega technical or whatever.
Something very special.
Yeah.
Maybe
I mean,
they,
very, very special.
they could be working on the right shape of that 8, because it takes a long time to make the top and the bottom circles or ovals the right shape, and that could be what's holding the whole thing up.
Yeah.
It's probably something minor.
Well,
We're just making sure they get it right and get enough stock, perhaps, if we're lucky.
so, I was asked if I was going to buy the Z8 when it comes out, and it depends. If it's the Z8 that I think it will be, then yeah, I'm ready to buy it. I have the money. I'm ready to purchase. If it's something different, I don't know what I'll do. I don't know whether I'll buy another camera body or not. Maybe I'll just buy some other piece of glass that I want. But I don't want an 80 megapixel camera. Nothing wrong with it. I just don't want it. So,
Man, them portraits I shot the other day, I'm glad I don't have 80 megapixels.
yeah.
I don't need to see that good.
Hey, if you want something like that, you could just buy the software that'll get you there.
Yeah.
You need 80 megapixels, you go medium format.
Get the To me, I agree. You start getting over that 61 threshold. I'm going to get a medium format camera.
Too many compromises.
Yeah,
That's a possibility. And I was just sitting here thinking, actually, Jeffrey, if it's something stupid, whatever Nikon comes out with next, I would be interested in a Z6 III to see what that is. Why not have all 3 versions of the Z6? Why not? Yeah. But if it's, again, something, I don't know, wazoo, that's a good Kentucky term, wazoo. That's never good when you hear that, when people say that's wazoo, just so you know. But, I was just sitting here thinking, maybe I'd try a Leica. Why not? The only problem with that is I don't have enough money saved to buy a lens to go with it.
yeah,
Voigtlander.
yeah. You got to buy the
All the
Voigtlander.
Leicas have got Voigtlanders on them.
Yeah,
They're cheaper.
Do they make autofocus Voigtlanders for it?
No.
Oh, that's out.
But I thought when you were shooting those portraits, Chuck, you were completely manual.
It is with autofocus, though. The camera's in manual mode, not the lens.
Mm-hmm.
I do a lot of manual shooting, focus-wise.
Yeah. No,
When you get the small things you need to.
yeah. But maybe the next generation GFX 100 or 50 or whatever. But then again, I got to buy lenses.
yeah.
That's the only problem with that. Everybody keeps saying, try this, try the Canon, try the Sony or whatever. Man, then I got to buy lenses.
And spend lots of money.
Yeah.
I went from the D850 to the Z6, and I love the Z6's sensor.
Yeah.
And I love the D850 too, but I went backwards. And then with the Z9, I love the Z9 sensor and the quality. But man, I still really like that Z6 sensor for what I do.
This is what I use the Z6 for. Here it is right now.
The thing is, it's not overworking. It hasn't got too many megapixels, and it's got good dynamic range and good low light ability, the Z6 series.
And you could jack the ISO up there, and it was good. I mean, it looked like grainy film more than anything.
I love my Z9, but it's more of a workhorse than anything else.
All right. So I told this to Vahography today. I said I would never say it, but I'm going to say it. Well, first of all, I got to say David Stewart's getting ready to leave. So make sure everybody say goodbye to Mr. David. Appreciate you being in here, David.
Yeah, it was great being here. Thank you very much for the invitation, Chuck.
Absolutely.
And I'll be here when I can. I'm on the road next weekend, so.
All right, brother.
I'm running a night photography class, so.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Well, have a good time and keep on. I know I don't have to tell you to keep on shooting because you don't stop either. So
Yeah, it's I I told my boss that starting the first of May, I'm not going to work any more Mondays. So I'm working on the retirement scheme.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right.
So every weekend will be a 3-day weekend,
Nothing wrong with that.
unless it's a 4-day weekend.
Yeah, well, that's even better. All right, David.
Anyway, have a good evening, and I'll see you all later.
All right,
care,
David.
David.
Take care, brother. All right. So what I was going to say is I'm not I'm not over the moon with the Z9. Whoa.
It's a good workhorse, but it's not an exciting camera like I thought it would be.
Yeah, me either, Roy. Me either. It does what it needs to do. I get that, but I don't know what it is. It just doesn't impress me or inspire me like my D5 or my D4. And I don't know what it is about it, but anyway. And this is another reason I'm looking for. The Z9 is fantastic. If I want to go out and do any kind of action photography, that's where it shines. It really does. But yeah, that's why I'm hoping to get a companion for it. And I'm not going to buy the Z7 II. We're too close. No matter how far away we are, we're too close for, a new camera. And that's one of the reasons that I've been waiting to see what comes out.
I'll tell you, I would have bought a ZFC right now. I would buy a ZFC if it was 10-bit recording and could do 4K 120. I would buy it for B-roll and street photography. I wouldn't think twice about it. I would love that camera for doing street photography, where you're taking your time.
Yeah.
You're just doing single shots. You don't care about how many frames per second. I would love to get that camera, but the only thing is I want the 10-bit and I want 4K 120, and maybe if they upgraded that, or then I would definitely consider it.
Yeah, man. Welcome, buddy. Good to see you. Yeah. Yeah, on the Z9, I guess there are people that are actually selling Z9s too. As Vaughan was telling me today, there's some are on eBay already.
It's a brilliant camera, but
yeah,
it's more of a workhorse and something you enjoy using.
Well, as I explained to him too, one of the things, and I will say it's a tremendous camera, but personally, I think it has to do with the fact that the video in that camera is phenomenal. And the only reason that isn't being touted as much is because people that want the video aspects of that camera don't want the big full grip body. And I mean, that's the truth. If you had a, I'm not gonna argue about size of body, other than if you had the Z7 body or Z6 body with all those video specs, and I don't want to argue about whether you can or you can't because of this blah blah blah. But if you had that, I think that camera would sell like hotcakes for those that are in the Nikon camp that want video capability. So anyway, I think the Z9 is a fantastic camera, but I can't put my finger on it, folks. So don't try to, pin me down here. Well, what is it exactly? I don't know, but I've just not been over the moon about the Z9.
I just want to say hi quick. Notice she's in here is Nancy Jane, aka NASA Jane.
All right, Nancy.
Hello, Nancy. Nice to see you.
Hope you're well.
Maybe the Z9 hasn't got enough faults. Need a few faults to give it character.
Yeah, maybe so. The full frame ZF. I hope that's the next camera, Chris. I really do, because all 78 people out there that want it will have it. I hope that's the next camera. I actually do. I wish Nikon would do that.
You've got too many models and all the different colored ZFCs. It's just madness.
Yeah.
I'm kind of like you, Chuck. Though there's something about the Z9 that I can't put my finger on either.
It's a
You
great
know,
camera, but
I mean,
it's just no
and I'm
character,
not-
no
And I'm
soul
not
to it or
bashing
something.
the camera. I'm not bashing the camera.
no, not at all. I'm
But-
inspired to go to shoot it, but there's just something about it, I don't know. I just can't put my fingers on it.
Me either. Now it's
Great
like
camera.
it's like this lens, the 85. This is a lens that I fell in love with the minute I went out and shot, especially yesterday. I had a good time with that lens. There's something about it that I can't put my finger on, but I love shooting it now. And
The look of the images it makes.
you know,
It's
it is Roy, but I mean that's not it. That's not everything either. I don't know what it
It is
is.
to me.
It just inspires me to, pick it up and use it.
Mm.
That'd be terrible in a review. Well, what's good about it? I like it.
Some gear's just like that. You just know you like it.
Yeah.
It's not about the specs.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Robert
that's
Silver-
kind of like the
Here.
58 millimeter to me.
Mm.
Most of the time, man, everything I get's trash. But I have to shoot with it because when you hit it right with it, it's
Yeah.
magic. But it's not a lens I would recommend to anybody,
Right.
But
Yeah.
I love shooting with it for some reason, and that's my least successful lens I got.
Hey, space people, it shouldn't. Well, I guess you probably weren't around when I unboxed the camera on a live stream because it came during the live stream, and everybody was asking for the next 3 weeks about the camera, and I kept telling people, let me have a chance to play with it first. And it's because I don't know. I just, wasn't over the moon. Oh man, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread. Good camera, great video, other attributes as well. But it was hard for me to explain what it was about that camera that just didn't send me, running down the street yelling, yay Nikon. And I still can't explain it. So it's not dislike of it. It's just not crazy like of it.
Craig brought up something just a minute ago, and he said it could be that it doesn't have a mechanical shutter.
I guess.
As simple as that may be, and just as long as I've always
Changes
had
the
that
feel of it.
mechanical shutter,
Well, I
that
think
could be
part of it,
something that just like,
It's more electronic than most cameras.
yeah, I think part of it is if even like I had a D850, and you would think that. I mean, logically, you're thinking, okay, the Z9 comes out. I got the D850. I know that like the back of my hand. I'll just pick up the Z9 and I'll go with it. And that isn't how it works.
No.
Yeah, no, you're right.
It has
different beast.
a lot more minutia to it, or whatever term you want to use, and it has a longer learning curve. Even if you use the D850 or a D5 or a D6, there's a learning curve in there, and you have to have the time to do the learning part. Otherwise, it'll become a very frustrating camera very quick.
And I brought that up early on too, if you remember, Jeffrey, because I said that when people were asking, I said, this is a camera you don't just pick up. It's not like if I had bought the D6, I guarantee you I could have picked that camera up and gone out and shot with it and been comfortable. Yeah, there may have been some tweaks or things with the D6 that, I need to look at. But it just wasn't there with this camera. This camera has so much, to think about. And, but anyway, I'm not going to run the camera down at all. And Craig C, if you're leaning towards a Z9, then I would say go for it, because the Z9, you may be extremely happy with it, because I can't put my finger on it and tell you, well, here's why I don't like it. I just don't know. And it has nothing to do with being a flagship body, because again, I shot with the D4 and the D5 and loved them.
Yeah, and it's not that I don't like it,
Yeah.
It's just something about it, I mean, I love the shutter sound of the D850.
Yeah.
And I love the shutter sound of a Nikon F3. All the other ones, I don't care about. Any other camera I've shot, I don't really like them. I love the sound of the F3 and the D850. And that could just be a psychological thing that when I click it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I love the sound of my D850, but I'll tell you, when you're doing nature photography,
Mm-hmm.
it pays to have it where you have the thing where you hardly hear it go off at all because it doesn't scare the wildlife.
And I mean,
It depends on what you're shooting. If you're doing people and stuff like that, who cares if it goes rat-a-tat-tat? Doesn't matter.
I mean, that's great. If you could pinpoint it to that, Joe, and I know you're not saying that you have, somebody brought it up, but that's not it for me. That isn't what bothers me, or not. I shouldn't say bothers. There's just no way to put this in words. I just don't have the same love for the Z9 that I've had for other cameras. Why? I don't know. I have no idea.
Another thing that bothers me on it is when I'm shooting and I go to check my picture just in the viewfinder, I always hit that menu button first.
Yeah.
Every single time.
Yeah.
Never fails. I guess the way my thumb rides on it or something, I'm thinking I'm far enough down and I hit the menu every time.
Is Robert Silva in here? Is he in here? Man, I missed.
Yeah, he just got in just a few minutes ago.
Welcome, brother. Welcome to the show, man.
Yeah, my friend has a D500 with and he shoots with the 2-to-5 zoom, which I used to have, and we're next to each other. We're shooting the same subject most of the time, we used to see a guy that had a Sony A9, and he used to bust my chops, and he'd say, when I was shooting my D850, he'd say, "Jeff, you're scaring all the doggone birds away. Your camera's so doggone noisy," because you wouldn't hear his,
Yeah.
And he just did it to bust my chops, But then, once I did have a Z9 and have it set so I could hear it a little bit, but the birds really don't hear it. I'm like, yeah, you know what? I can understand why he said that. He was busting my chops, but it's true. It does at times does scare the wildlife away a little bit.
Yeah. Well, and that's the nice thing about these cameras now. We don't have to worry about that anymore, which is great. But unless you love that sound or whatever, and I guess eventually Nikon will get around to providing opportunities for you to upload your own particular shutter sound or whatever. Not the cat sound or cat.
The meow mix sound. Yeah,
lion roar.
Mike, on that, as far as high speed shooting, it's not about what you need. It's just what you want, and if you want, that's the part of the Z9 I do like is, I can shoot at 30 frames per second if I want, albeit in JPEG, small JPEG, or 20 frames per second or whatever. And do I need that? No, nobody needs any of it, but it's nice when you want to try it or play with it or do something. The pre-capture on it, when you're trying to capture animals that are getting ready to move, birds that are getting ready to take flight, or even in sports, can you imagine a track meet when you can half press the button and you don't have to worry about missing the first movement of the individual off the line because you have pre-capture, that kind of stuff. So yeah, do you have to have it? No, we don't have to have it, but don't ever say that, you don't need it or don't want it or whatever. It does come in handy. Yeah, I'm going to abandon you like Bayou Josh. No, not quite. The only way I buy other brands right now, anyway, hurry up, Nikon. I'm losing my patience. But the only way I'll buy other brands is if I win the lottery, and then I'm going to B&H and I'm going on a shopping spree, and I'm buying every camera manufacturer out there. Cameras, lenses, all the lenses and everything. That's it. But for now, I have to save my pennies and buy what I save for.
Yeah, Luke's right. Nobody complained about shutter noise before mirrorless. So yeah, that's true because you didn't know anything. That's all you knew. So
yeah, you just noticed, man, this one's a little quieter than that one.
Yeah, I mean, but think about it. One reason why Leicas used to sell a lot for is people would get Leicas because the shutter was so quiet. You know, they could take pictures in a courtroom where they didn't want to hear the noise
Yeah.
because those shutters were so silent.
Yeah.
Nice sound
Yeah.
too.
Plus,
Like
it shrouded them. It shrouded them with invisibility too.
Yeah, yeah,
You know, you're not noticeable if you got a Leica in your hand. You know.
yeah.
Why am I not seeing?
But yeah, it's nice to listen to a press conference without it sounding like rapid fire. You know. It's like
Robert,
they go
I'm
start
not seeing your
dodging it
comments.
for long.
I'm not seeing your comments over here in the Restream stream. I'm seeing them over on. This has been going on for the last few weeks. There's some people I can't see in Restream, but you're coming up on the comments on YouTube. So sorry about that. I got to keep looking over here. Sorry, guys. I didn't mean to interrupt. I don't understand this, though, why I can't see some people's comments in Restream.
Nancy, when you say how many use the shutter button for focus versus back button focus, for me personally, I have my back button set for wide area large, and I have my shutter button set for 3D. And some people flip it the other way around, but I happen to have mine set up that way. But it would be totally different if I was shooting different. If I wasn't shooting what I shoot, you know, I mean, I would set the buttons up differently depending
I
on
have it set. I have it set in reverse of what you have, only because for me, 3D doesn't work at everything I'm shooting, and you know, because there are some things that it just will not keep up with. It's too erratic or whatever. And I know I can slow that down and everything else, but yeah, I have it set up the other way, and a lot of times I'm just going to single point focus now.
I've always done that.
Yeah, I
Back
programmed
focus is easy to control.
Yeah,
I programmed my function button on my lens for single point. So you know, I'm holding the lens. I just hit the button on the lens, and I'm automatically in single point.
S lens is nice.
Yeah.
I got that set like that, but I have my FN button, the FN1 for the wide area, and then the back button. I like my shutter button just to do its job. You know, he don't need to double up.
No, using the back button gives you total control over focus.
Yeah, the back button 3D is what I use on that.
yeah, that's it, Matthew. You found it. Daggone it! I never thought about that. It's 45 megapixel, which is different from the D850 that I had. Yep, that's it.
Totally different.
You
And
found
the Z7.
yeah. You got it, man. You got it.
I like the D850 sound though. The magnesium mirror box.
Yeah.
Most of them have got a plastic one these days.
Yeah, it had a very pleasing little tone to it. I just, you know, that's one of the things I like.
Best to me, that's the best digital SLR ever made, in my opinion.
It was good.
All right, let me
I wish I wouldn't have got rid of it, but it was good. But yeah, I don't know if I could, because I'll shoot my F3 sometimes, but it's just going back to from an electronic to the optical viewfinder now would be kind of different. Because you get used to seeing it right there, you know, what you're doing in real time.
It's nice having all the extra information in the
Mm-hmm.
EVF though, but I don't think it makes a big difference.
Just the way it looks to me, more than anything.
All
I do
right.
a lot of focus shifting, and that's very annoying on the digital, on the Z9, because you don't see it just before you press the button.
All right. Finally got to the bottom of the comments over here. I don't understand why I can't see everybody's comments over here. It's really getting annoying.
Yeah, Joe Mack makes a good comment. Electronic shutter is sweet for golf. Yeah, I mean that's true as well. You're shooting at golf tournament or something, it matters how loud that camera is when you're shooting golf tournaments.
Absolutely. Yeah, in a lot of situations it does, you know, in weddings it can be a great asset too, silent shooting. So yeah, I can see a big, you know, that being a great convenience for a lot of different photographers out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, Robert, you don't have to go, man. I'm going to keep watching the comments over here, but we are closing down here pretty soon. Again, I got to get up early in the morning, get on the road. Ugh, I hate driving. I'm tired of driving. I hate driving.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get out of here. This chair my wife has is killing me. This is the most uncomfortable chair I've ever sat in my life. But no, I got to get up early in the morning. But good images, Chuck.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, good job.
Enjoyed it.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Glad you got to play with the lens, and your models were great, and you did a great job. So that was, and you learned a lot at the same time. So that worked out good.
Yep.
Yep. Jeffrey, Roy, man, y'all take it easy, and Chuck, be safe on the road.
All right, Joe. Thanks for joining us, man.
Yes, sir. Y'all have a good one.
You too, buddy.
Yep.
All right. Feral Man, just got my 85 on Friday and I love it. Yeah, I do too. I do too. I really fell in love with that lens, just shooting it a little bit so far. Here, I got Robert Silver. All right. Silent shutter during weddings. What? Yeah. I don't know why you didn't show up until now, brother, but here you are. Welcome. Nancy shooting through fences. Yep, that's cool.
Where's Nancy?
Mike Farwell's taking off. Take care, Mike. VNL Labs, thanks, man, and you have a good night as well. Yeah, this isn't going to be the typical 4 or 5 hour stream tonight. Sorry about that, folks. It'll take me an hour to wind down after this.
People more interested in the Z8 than the new 85 one too. Don't know why.
My most favorite lens currently, the 85 1.2. I agree with you, Chris, because it's new and I found some new things that I can do, having fun with it. And I'm really happy with it as well. You know, I used to say when I got the 200 F2, I did shoot with it quite a bit, just playing around. And I would tell people, you'll find a reason to use that lens. It's just one of those lenses. You want to go out and shoot with it and find more things that you can do with it. And I feel that way about this 85 right now too.
I'd be more excited with the 135, I think. I think the 50 to me is probably more what I need.
Yeah.
The 85 is a really great lens. Got some really interesting looks to it. What I've seen so far.
You know, to be honest with you, I think they look very similar.
They're totally different lenses. I think the 50 is a much different lens.
Yeah.
Totally different look to it.
Hey, Robert, a lot of people do that. A lot of people are out doing things. People are editing photos in the background. They just listen in, and I appreciate that. I think that's kind of the fun of the show is, especially during the weekday show. A lot of people are at work and they just listen to the stream as it goes on. It helps pass the time at work, I guess. So, yeah. Thanks for being a part of it tonight. Daryl's heading out too. Thanks, Daryl. And I'll talk to you when I get back, brother. Nancy, I am going to Raleigh, North Carolina tomorrow. I'll be down in Raleigh overnight. So beautiful Raleigh, North Carolina. My wife actually likes it down there. She likes the area and everything about it. That's where her job is headquartered. So She has to go back periodically, and so she's going back tomorrow. She'll be down there for about 5 or 6 weeks. Mhm.
So did you ever think of moving there instead of Tennessee, or you
Never,
always wanted Tennessee?
never.
Never.
I've spent enough time in North Carolina with the military, and I just don't like North Carolina. She loves it down there, and she likes the area right there, not in Raleigh, but right around Raleigh. So, yeah, I think she'd be happy with going there. I don't guess it would be too terrible, but I'm just not a North Carolina fan. Yeah,
I think
there
back
you
on
go.
the Z9, I don't think we dislike it. It's just like we'd like it to be more exciting. It's
Yeah,
like in the Mercedes S-Class. Then you want something a bit more exciting.
yeah. I that's the reason I said I'm going to go ahead and say it, because I know people will not understand it, and I get that. Yeah, it's not that I don't like the camera. It's just not that, or I'm disappointed with the camera. It's just I don't know. I can't put my
It's a
finger
great
on it.
workhorse.
Yeah.
One of the best I've ever used, if not the best.
And right now, if I was going to have to shoot motocross, that's the camera I want to carry. No doubt about it. I'm looking down through the comments some more. Try not to get too far behind. Well, thank you. Almost got choked on my M&M here. Thank you, Jason. I appreciate that.
Yeah, a little back and forth here on DSLRs versus the modern stuff, and I'll tell you the D850. I had an interesting question on my channel. Someone said to me, "Well, what's your keeper rate? Did your keeper rate improve a lot when you went from the Z9 versus the D850?" And I said, "Well, still
Not at first.
for still photos, absolutely no difference. I could take just as good an image that as I can with the Z9." I says the only difference is with the D850, you would pick your dynamic focus range. You'd set up your range and you'd position it where you wanted within the viewfinder, and then you had to keep your subject within that focus range. And with the Z9, it can track the eyes of the birds. So obviously for bird and flight photography, the Z9 is going to be higher keeper rate. If you don't follow it perfect, it doesn't matter, because it's on the eye and it's following the bird. So,
and 3D tracking works on the Z9 where it didn't on the D850.
Yeah, I couldn't put it, because the D850 really doesn't track per se. You're doing the tracking. You're placing the your autofocus points where you want them within the frame, and you're tracking. So it's only as good as you can pan your camera. But I'll tell you, I took tens of thousands of pictures of birds in flight with that D850. And if my Z9 crapped out tomorrow, I would pick up the D850 and I would be fine. I mean, I would not, I would get by. I would still get my shots. I'd miss a few, but I would still get a lot of them.
Yeah, and I've never denied that to anybody, and everybody likes to try to pull that card and throw it at you. Well, are you going to be a better photographer? I've started answering that now with yes, just because I'm tired of explaining it or discussing it. Yeah, I'm going to be a better photographer. Yep, that's what it is. But of course we could get photos without all this new technology. Of course, because how could we deny that? It's there for everybody to see what's actually been done with cameras over the years. Can we do it with film? Yes. But the problem, it's not a problem. The thing about it is technology has made it so much easier for us to capture some of these moments. Now, if anybody wants to deny that, well, I can't help you. But technology has helped. It's made it easier to capture a lot of these moments. Just like I was saying, pre-capture. You couldn't do that with a film camera. You'd have to just take a chance. You'd have to guess. I'm not saying that you would never get that shot, but now it's so easy to get that shot. A person coming off.
Out of it.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people are upset about that. Maybe that's what it is, Roy, and maybe you can help me understand it if you feel that way. People feel like, well, I had to learn this craft and I had to do this. And I used to, work my butt off to catch this moment or whatever. It's not fair. Maybe that's it. Maybe they feel like it's not fair and they don't want anybody to be able to do it easier. I don't know.
It's not that you want to put more of you into the images than the camera doing all the work, I think.
Well, but the thing about it is turn everything off.
Mm.
There
I
you
do.
go. Turn it all off. That's the wonderful thing about the cameras that we have today. You can turn it all off other than you can make it a manual focused lens, camera in total manual mode with no bells and whistles going, no whatever. Do it. But I don't know. I don't know what it is. And, just like I enjoyed watching Gray's yesterday. I don't know if anybody else watched Gray's. I know that you're in there.
I loved it. Absolutely loved it, man.
And I love listening to Gray talk about his experience with the cameras and everything. But I got to tell you, the cameras don't ring my bell. I mean, I'm happy that there are a lot of people that still love to follow, all the film cameras and the rangefinders and everything else. And when people say, well, I wish Nikon would build a rangefinder, I don't. Yeah, I don't know why anybody, whatever.
Why?
But, yeah, it's a good question. Why? But that's the people that not everybody that watches it. Obviously, I watch it. You watch it, Roy, and Jeffrey, you watch it, and other people do too. But so many people in there are living in the past, and I think that's what keeps them alive. Is they have this, opportunity to go over there when they're talking about rangefinders and
rangefinder fans were there, both of them.
Yeah, both of them. And they get to go over there and relive those moments or whatever. But those are the people that hate technology too. I shouldn't say hate, bad word, but they're fighting technology. I don't know why you can't love both. I guess that's where I'm going with it. Why can't you love both? That's all.
I love my Z9, but it's not an exciting camera.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It works really well, but it's not an F3 or a D3 or something that was revolution. It is revolutionary, but again, it's not. I think we've come so far that most cameras do such a good job now that it's not a breakthrough.
Yeah. Hey, you know what, Maz? I agree with you, but that's not what we're talking about. You can't equate that to what we're talking about because everybody gets the cheat codes. If that's what you're actually talking about in photography with the new technology, everybody can have the cheat codes. So it's not the same thing, man. Not even close. But if it goes along with the fact that people, and this is a military thing too, let me tell you, we love to do that, talking about all the new troops that come in, how it's easier for them, this and that. Well, back when I joined, I went to basic training. I had to run in my boots and blah, blah, blah. And you guys get to wear tennis shoes and whatever. So I kind of understand that feeling, but still, and for those that are just, well, not even that, quit complaining. If you already have all the cameras you want, they're not building any more SLRs or rangefinders. You have the ones that you've had forever. Then why are you complaining about other people wanting something new? It just aggravates me sometimes. Again, can't we just have fun as photographers and not worry about what everybody else is doing, shooting, or how they shoot, or what cameras they use, or whatever? So anyway,
that's kind of like going back to, my dad didn't really pull this on me, but other people in the family would. Like, well, when I was young, I had to walk 2-3 miles in the snow to get to school.
Yeah.
After a while, that gets old. After a while, okay, yeah, I got to take a bus. It's my fault.
Yeah. Hey, Caesar, we did not. And I appreciate all the comments over there on the video that I posted. I just ran across it. I think Moz and Vihography had seen it when it came out, maybe back about a month ago, but it's titled Nikon Sucks. It's over on AP Studios group. And you know, a lot of people had a lot of good comments about that. My point for posting that is I have made that statement myself, not Nikon sucks, but that so many people, you know, omit Nikon from any discussion. If there's a question about what camera should I get or whatever, Nikon, you know, is omitted from all those videos. And why is that? I don't know. And I think this guy came up with a couple of points that might be somewhat relevant. But the bottom line is that that's the way everybody sees everybody. My wife says, quit using superlatives. So many people feel that way. They're tainted by all the hatred for Nikon out there in the photography world. And they just parrot everything everybody else says. You know, Nikon's no good. And I heard a guy the other day saying, you know, Canon glass is by far the absolute best glass and always has been. And I guarantee you the guy has no idea what he's talking about. He's just a Canon fanboy, just like you have Nikon fanboys and whatever. And he has no idea what he's talking about and has no idea that Nikon made glass for Canon cameras in the beginning. No idea about that. But I also caution people when they bring up the history of Nikon. Guess what? The generation that's coming up now doesn't care about history. So what Nikon's done in the past doesn't matter. So you can quit quoting those accomplishments by Nikon to all these younger guys. All they see is what's in front of us now. And, you know, Nikon can't stand on their past. Neither can Canon or Sony. The bottom line is it's what we have now. And, you know, that's what each manufacturer is judged by. So anyway, a lot of babbling from me. Sorry about that, guys, but I am going to have to run here real quick. I've got to get up early in the morning and get going. Long drive. Not looking forward to the drive, but I got to do it for my beautiful bride. Make sure she gets down there safely. And I get to learn a whole lot more about BTS. All right.
Better you
All right,
than me.
Yeah. I get to listen. I get to hear a bunch of it too, you know.
Oh, my sympathies.
Yeah. All right. So, hey, folks, thank you all for tuning in. Sorry tonight wasn't a whiz bang, you know, thriller of a show. I did enjoy it, and thank you guys for putting up with me and my my photos. But it was really about just, you know, letting you guys see what the lens does. I don't know if I represented it well or not, but you were welcome to ask any questions about it. But anyway, Jeffrey, thank you so much as always for being in here. And Roy, thank you also. I have all the links to a lot of these folks down in the description. Please go check out their channels if you haven't already. Jeffrey, there's a link to his channel in there, Selective Imagery. There's no link to Roy because Roy doesn't want to get all of the
work.
Yeah.
We're just waiting for the Roy Bixby museum announcement. I keep saying I'm waiting for that museum announcement, man.
I haven't had a website in many years. I had a website many years ago.
I am taking them. I got 2 sets, Maz. I'm taking them. No doubt about that. The AirPods. All right. So anyway, hey, thanks again, everybody, for being in here. Thank you, Yaman, and everybody that's been in here tonight. I will see everybody on Wednesday, and we'll see what we can drum up to talk about there. Hopefully it'll be something we're all happy about. We'll have to see. But who knows? There's a long time between now and Wednesday for news. So there you have it. Again, thanks again, folks. Let you guys say goodbye, Jeffrey and Roy.
Goodbye.
As simple as it gets.
That's basically it. Have a good one, everybody.
All right,
get out
folks.
there, shoot. Get out there and shoot.
Yeah, shoot and share. Share with everybody.
Yeah.
All right. Talk to everybody later. Have a wonderful rest of the weekend. And for some of you, it's almost gone, huh, Roy?
Yes, 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
And there you go. Australia time, Sunday afternoon. All right. So I'll talk to everybody Wednesday. And if you would like to be on the show on the panel, by all means, I put it in the description. It's in the description for this live stream. And check it out. If you want to be on the panel, just let me know and we'll bring you in here. This is open to everybody to have a good time. It's a community. It's not mine. All right.